This program has been rated mature by the Gaming Radio Network. It is unsuitable for under 18s due to content of an adult nature, which may be classed as offensive to some people.
If it is offensive and it's classed as offensive, we got two words for you. Fuck off. Actually, no, the official word was suck it, but well, whatever. Anyway, welcome to This Week in New Eden for Sunday, 28th of February 2016. I'm Wiggles, and if you're wondering what this show is, this is the show where we talk about the things going on in New Eden this week, what's been going on, and all that. We round it up in a nice ball to give to you guys and put in your face and everywhere. And so hopefully you're joining us live on Eve Radio, eve-radio.com, where you're maybe hopefully listening to us live. Or you're maybe watching us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Eve Radio Live, which I will put that in the in-game channel as well. Or you're listening to us in post, in a podcast form. We take the show and we stuff it into an MP3 file, and we cram it into the podsphere and the internet. Joined this week, I want to say as by every week, but as for the first time, well, the second time in a long time, my co-host, he's in our London office today, Mr. Dirk McGurk. How are you doing, sir?
I am in the London office today.
Or you could magically be in the Hawaii office.
I could magically be there.
In the Moscow office, or anywhere else you want to be, pretty much.
I was actually going to use a Bob Ross landscape, and somehow or another no, seriously. And then I ran across this. And
What you should do, you should just get a few episodes of The Joy of Painting and just play it in the background as you're doing so. It's like he's making a scene, and like eventually it just happens. So that'd be interesting. That'd be interesting to do. So, it's Sunday. You may hear the washing machine going because the washing machine is going a little bit that way, so I apologise.
As it should be.
As it should be. Sunday afternoon, do the washing. We've done the floors, we've done everything. We do all the stuff we need to do on Sunday, and we do that, and then I'll cook, and it'll all be good. The beautiful girlfriend is sitting over there, probably playing Second Life. Are you playing Second Life, my dear? She's got to have... Are you playing Second Life?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Are you in Second Life? She is in Second Life. She's not actively playing Second Life at the moment, but she's there. She's doing stuff. She's entertained. Well, your
washing machine is Third Life.
Yeah. Actually, Dirk, should we see if we can find Dirk McGurk in Second Life to see if he's sitting there playing Eve? Maybe. We don't know. Anyway, so this week in New Eden, what are we going to do? We're going to talk about Eve Online. So, what's been going on in Eve this week? Pretty much nothing. All right. That's it. See you later. No, been a lot going on this week. A hell of a lot going on this week, actually. Where do you want to start with this, Dirk? Where do you want to start?
I don't know. Should we cover like lighter topics first? I mean, yeah. Here we go. CSM minutes, 79 pages, boys and girls.
Yeah, we'll put it this way. No, everyone doesn't know. Look behind the scenes of what we do for the show. We have a show doc that we prep, so we both put topics in and we go through and comment and that. Same I do with every guest that comes on and that we have. Normally, the show doc is 1 page. Maybe it stretches over to 2. And normally, all it is just links to topics and stories we want to talk about. Today, I have made 3.5 pages of actual text. Excerpts.
Cut and paste.
Cut and paste from the minutes. The stuff I want to talk about or things that have caught my eye and some links. Let's start with let's start with the sort of lighter. What's lighter on this? Actually, I know what's lighter. Evelopedia. If you did not know, the Evelopedia is shutting down as of downtime tomorrow. Somebody's going to say, probably Dirk, what the hell's the Evelopedia?
I know exactly what the Evelopedia is.
I know you know what the Evelopedia is, but some people out there listening might be going, what's the Evelopedia? The Evelopedia is this. It's basically like Wikipedia, but for EVE Online, and it's run by CCP. They run it. They do it.
Was that their second try at a wiki?
I think it's... it might be.
There used to be one that was out on the old... Remember when they retired the old forums and created the new one? I think there was something that they did.
The wiki has always been... That Wikipedia, Evelopedia, has always been around at Evelopedia. It's always been there. The old forums may have had some input to it because you could type stuff and link to it, but that's how it was, I think. But it's always been there.
Well, I know they always had something. I just think that I recall that they upgraded it somehow when they did the whole server switch and that sort of thing.
They may have done that. They may have upgraded some point of the back end of it and stuff like that. So. But so far, it's been all good. But it says, and I read this with a heavy heart on the New Eden update this week, and it says, after careful consideration while planning upgrades and changes to Tranquility, we have decided to discontinue the Evilopedia as announced, as of the announced extended downtime on Monday, February 29th. So yes, tomorrow we'll have an extended downtime, which is going to be going from 9 AM till 2 PM. So it's an extended downtime, so they can do maintenance and a load of extra stuff. And it says here, it goes, after the successful database upgrade, we'd like to announce a second extended downtime in order to perform significant hardware and database configurations to the Tranquility cluster. So that's basically happening tomorrow. As of that, they're going to annex the Evilopedia. So, what does that mean?
I don't know, but did your shit just go on spin cycle?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. You can hear it, can't you? Yep.
All of a sudden, there was like this different noise in the background. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just
it's not the sloshing around.
No, it's like
of washing.
It's whoa, 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 whoa. I can actually feel the spin cycle sitting here.
Exactly.
Because it's right. In fact, I'm breaking the fourth wall, but whatever. On my desk, I have a light that shines at me. That's wobbling slightly because of the way it is. Because we're on the third floor of a flat. We're on a third floor flat of a building, so it's what happens. But anyway, but no, it's gone. And it also, there might have been a can of air freshener on top of the washing machine that fell off. You can always.
Back to the Evilopedia. They sure didn't give a whole lot of notice, right? I mean, hell, Google gave more notice for shutting down that Google Compare.
Yeah, they did. They gave like 6 months.
They gave like,
yeah,
I don't know. I think it was just shy of a month. But I don't know. I mean, is this a loss? I'm wondering if the short notice is going to cause a loss because there will be some things that I don't know, maybe players out there or whatever don't archive. I know that some of them I saw on Twitter were talking about, trying to pull some stuff down from it or
the
or
archive can be downloaded.
Lines.
You can download the. In fact, I could download the database zip right now. There is a copy they put up there from the 17th, which is on the dev blog actually. So I'll link the dev blog. I'll link it in game and in Twitch. You can download it right now. If you want to download a complete copy of it, it's 102 megabytes. So it's not massively big. It's 102 megabytes. But they do say with the introduction of the Help Center and the ever-developing Flight Academy project from the custom support team, as well as the amazing and far more up-to-date player-run wikis out there, such as the EVE University wiki and the Brave Newbies wiki, not to mention Goonswarm have one, and loads of other corps have like closed ones. And also the ability to pull more static data from the EVE universe via Crest, they feel the Evilopedia cycle has run its course and now time to move on from hosting it. Which, at the end of the day, I'm fine with.
I guess. I mean, I hate to see them, citing some of the players. Look, EVE University Wiki is definitely outstanding. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
I haven't been out to the Brave Newbies one. I have, of course, been to the Goon one, which, while robust in some ways, is probably lacking in others. I don't know. I mean, leaving it up to the players for something like a wiki. I mean, this goes back to that whole EVE learning curve thing, right? Or learning cliff, however you want to look at it.
And curve, canon.
The ability to access relevant, correct information, from the proper source. I don't know.
Well, it's a sad day.
It certainly doesn't mean as much to me today as it might have had I were newer in the game. But.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it is a sad day. But what are you going to do? At the end of the day, if it's kind of like some of the stuff we'll get to when we get through some of the minutes, stuff being shuttered and moved will help the development. One thing, camera. Some of the stuff moved. And that's what's going to happen. They're going to change stuff and it will work. And again, that's what's going to happen. It sucks to do it and it sucks to say it, but hey, that's what happens. But yeah, rip Evilopedia. If you want to get a copy of the database or the Evilopedia as it is, you can download it right now if you're listening live. If you're listening in post, well, if you're listening anytime up until downtime on Monday, so 9 AM Monday, you can still get a copy of it. I'm sure they'll be hosted elsewhere.
Grim Dark Knight, my man.
Yeah, Grim Dark Knight. Ah, brother, he's a good old man. It's Grim. He said he knew that sexy voice. Oh, and hey, Wiggles. Yeah. Hi, Grim. Hi, Grim. There we go. Right, next on the list. That was the short one. That's the shortest story out of the way. let's do the security update next, because I think that had a big hit into
The security. Which one was that?
overlays, Iskbire, and Amnesty and account security.
Oh yes.
This blog isn't. See, this is a big topic, but this isn't the biggest topic today.
No,
Skill
no,
training is destroyed and you die.
Yeah, this was actually kind of amusing. Okay, so when it first came out, and this came out from Pellegro, I believe.
Yeah.
It came out from Team
Security, but Pellegro signed it.
Yeah, and to me, it was a clarification on the clarification of some of the changes that were put in place that dealt quite a bit with IS Boxer, okay, and other things of that sort from just over a year ago initially. However, this time last year we were embroiled deeply in ongoing rant and discussions related to the changes that they were making, with regard to input duplication, but also some of these overlay type things, some of these video effects things that you can do with various software packages out there. IS Boxer always being the foremost among them, I guess. And my initial reaction to this, and I think it still is you know what? They went through and literally commented on, I think, every sentence of that part of the policy.
They did.
To where they were attempting to make clarification, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that that's really what it was clarification. Okay, there may have been some room in there where it's like, well, does that mean that it refers to this? But the funniest thing is, is to like go and read the comments, because the comments are almost without input duplication, basically.
Yeah.
All right. They're almost completely, and in some cases they are actually, now that I think about it, a rehashing of the entire argument last year.
Yes.
Okay, about the whole thing. Like right down to the, well, if this causes an unfair advantage in game, then so does EFT, then so does EveMon, then so does this, then so does the other thing, then so does my right hand.
You know what's quite
so
funny about this? We talked about this. We talked about this when it happened. And, again, the other thing as well, the ISK amnesty is a good thing. If you have bought ISK illegally...
Well, let's touch on that separately, because because that I think is actually kind of a little more new or something like that.
Grimmy, GM Grimmy, CCP Grimmy, lead GM, he's awesome. He went to the forums and posted, "Thanks everyone for your feedback. Here are our comments to the points raised. We think they should answer most of the questions in the thread. First, nothing has changed. This is not an update to our rules and policies, but rather a clarification." So, straight up like what we said. The next thing. First question. There are two questions regarding the window switching policy points. Is it permitted to have two clients open and visible on each on its own monitor? 1. 2. I play EVE Online under Linux and Wine. I also have a Tile WM X Nomad, which allows to switch monitors really fast, under 50 milliseconds delay. Is this fair to use or an exploit? 1. Surprise! We are not banning monitors! Assuming all EVE clients are used as shipped, then it's fine. Best comment ever. 2. We do not see any issues using this. Switching between the EVE client window is a part of regular and very welcome multiboxing. Being good at it is not a bannable offence. Big smiley. Again, another perfect sentence. Grimmy's just like... Grimmy's just doing this. He's standing, goes, tee it up, ponk, home run, hole in one. He's just doing that all day long, knocking it out the park.
Well, I mean, if nothing else, Grimmy and Pellegro and those guys on Team Security, right, have all of that pent-up education that they got to be able to give these responses, right? Because of last year's 4-month argument over this.
Yep. Pretty much.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny because out on Twitter there was a little there's a little back and forth. I mean, it wasn't that much. I mean, I think most of it's out there on the forum or probably on Reddit or on the secret multi-boxer cabal forums or whatever, but at some point Noisy Gamer had made reference to something out there, and I think I made reference to I feel like I gotta go find Shadow and Light, so I posted the where is Shadow video from Bear in the Big Blue House, And sure enough, I swear to God, I have not seen Shadow since Vegas, and haven't heard from him because I know he's been doing some stuff in in real life and not really and not playing Eve.
I can tell you right where he is right now.
And all of a sudden,
1 hour ago on Facebook, he posted, "Once you live life, you realize why life is worth saving." Because I'm friends with him on Facebook. I could poke him and say, "Hey, where are you?"
and all of a sudden, it was like poof, he appeared. So I mean, that where is Shadow video actually does work to call out Shadow.
Exactly. But yes,
again, had this huge argument, in discussion over it last year. What I will say is this: there are some people that are out there on the forums who are some of the same old names, okay, or who were part of the discussion last year, who I think are just rehashing stuff for the sense of rehashing it. There are others who maybe were not part of this game last year, or who were not utilizing things like this, who maybe have stumbled across them and didn't know about the giant discussion that took place and whatnot. So maybe this clarification is just one of those things, like about real money trading, that every once in a while has to rear its head so that people who are newer to the discussion, know that these things are not acceptable.
Exactly. Again, this needs to
It's
be
not
there.
that you're a bad person for wanting to have, for wanting to use them, and
Exactly.
this is one of the big. It's one of the big problems, right? It's one of the problems that I think legal authorities face out there with kind of advancements in technologies. It's one of the things that game manufacturers face, is that gamers are inherently wanting to use technology to make things more efficient, better, faster, quicker, stronger, right? That kind of thing. And this is one of those tools that's out there. And for so long in Eve, it was allowed period. And then it wasn't.
Exactly.
So I mean, I understand why people want to use these things and whatnot, but it's
well, again, there's only so much you can do with it until it crosses that line. It's like I have a Logitech G600 mouse, right? So I have on the side of it here, which if I can lift it up to the camera, kind of, because it lifts under the thing. I can't, so I'm going to move a speaker. Basically, I've got 12 buttons on the side that I can map to whatever button on my keyboard, right? CCP are fine with that, because I'm not using them for macros. However, I can record macros with this mouse as well. I'm not going to, but I could if I wanted to record macros. But that would be against the rules, because I'm then using something that's quicker to, do a thing than just pressing a button. Because it's like, if I wanted to map a button to my keyboard, because you can do it in the game, you can map a button to launch your drones or recall drones or drones to attack target, yeah? I could do that and set that to my G9 key. So I could just thing a target, hit it, done, and the drones go off. I don't have to worry about a keyboard shortcut. They're fine with that. What they're not fine with, as we've said before, is doing things of like, press one button on my keyboard, it types out 1 billion things and sends it to 100 million clients. Because
input duplication.
That's what that is, yeah.
They're not good with input duplication, and they're not good with again, some of these kind of overlay and graphic things that tap into DirectX that sit there where you can pull a piece of an overview, a piece of multiple clients, and put them all on one client. So let's say your F1 button across 10 clients and put it all on one screen, so that all you have to do is rapid fire click each one of those right next to each other, because you have basically created your own EVE Online screen.
Exactly. The next point says Pirate's Little Helper is something that a lot of people use if you don't know what it is. It's a website where you can Control A and Control C local to take all the names and paste it into it, and it gives you some information about everyone. It's an external website. Very, very good. Does it great. It shows you what military they're in, whether they're able known to be linked to tunes, whether they use linked tunes, and it shows you each corp and alliance, or what they're in local without trolling through them. It gives you instant access to their kill boards, their last kill board activity, their 3 favourite ships they use. It also gives you a number of average pilots on their kill mails, that sort of stuff. Someone asked, can we use that? Grimmy said this: application tools that modify the client do extract or try to interpret any information from within the client's windows, do interact with the client, sending data or keystrokes to the client, do inject anything into the client's memory, or try to interact with the client in any way which cannot be achieved without using said applications or tools are not allowed. As of today, the tool you are asking about, Pirate's Little Helper, is a standalone application which does not do any of the above to or with the EVE client. Therefore, we do not see any reason to outlaw its usage. Simple as. It's a very simple thing. It's like,
But, well, hold on.
yeah,
It is very simple, except for, okay, I'm a user of something out there, and it's like, well, can I do this? Look, they're not going to, and this is the problem, right? Yeah, they're not going to say you can use this brand of software because this doesn't come down to a brand of application out there, right? They're not going to say, well, this application is fine because you know what? Tomorrow that application may change and become not fine. What they're saying is these are the things that that you can't do. Now, you get all of these people out there who are very smart and they know how to use these things and they think that they can bend it this way and morph it that way. Well, what if I do this by backhanding over that? And they're not going to answer that on the forums, okay? However, all right, if you put in a ticket, they might answer you that way, okay? Then again, they might just copy and paste the EULA and throw it back at your face and have you figure out whether or not it is.
Exactly.
Which has always been a bone of contention among the community that that is a potential answer that you might get from a GM. The fact of the matter is that for most of us, I think playing Eve, this is of no consequence whatsoever.
Exactly.
We don't use anything even remotely like these things. Therefore, it's a whole lot of words about nothing. But for part of the community out there that do want to use these advances in in third-party apps, it becomes this issue. But it is so amusing reading those those comments out there because we've been through this. I mean, my God, I think back now to the literal number of debates that were had over this, both before they made the change, okay, and would come up every once in a while. But man, that 3-4 month period following the first dev blog to come out saying, no, we're not doing this anymore. Woo, boy, there's a lot of discussion.
we've been joined by Cypher. How you doing, Cypher?
Morning.
Morning. You sound worse for wear.
Oh, I'm wide awake.
Oh, so how you doing? You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm still asleep. Fuck off.
No.
But he's an hour behind me.
Exactly. Anyway, so yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm an hour.
Oh, wait, is Detroit Eastern?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was still one.
Yeah, we're same time zone. Mm-hmm. It was just a late night last night. I jumped on TeamSpeak with a buddy and was up till 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I was up until like 4 with puking. Long story.
Yeah.
I'll tell you later,
Yeah, he told me. That's who it was.
I was in bed at about, what, 12? I wasn't feeling great last night. Had a bit of a headache. I'm feeling great today. I don't know. Next point on the list. Overlays which contain... Oh, sorry. But what about Eve Preview? In theory, it should be okay, because it doesn't isolate any individual elements and just displays an entire window. Response. Overlays which contain full unchanged Eve client instance windows in view-only mode, no matter how large or small they are scaled, like it is done today with Evo Preview, as of today, we are fine with. These overlays do not allow direct interaction with the Eve client, and you have to bring them respective Eve client to the front to put the window in focus on it, and in order to interact with it. So that's what's fine. If you're using
it is fine. Just like it's fine that you play Eve in windowed mode.
Exactly.
If you want to put 4 instances of Eve's complete window on your big giant 32-inch monitor, you're free to do that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Or you want to have 16 of them where you can see them.
Yeah, whatever. As long as they are the native Eve window, it doesn't matter. If you can make that Eve window down to a 10 pixel by 10 pixel box and read it, go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. But what you can't do is you cannot sample a piece of that window only. It doesn't mean that you can't have one full Eve window overlapping another full Eve window. But it's all about the full Eve window.
I might have to close the show. I've just been distracted by boobs.
Boobs.
Restrain yourself, sir.
I will restrain myself. I will wait till after the show. Now I'm getting a stern
Tell
look.
her to put the fuzzy cuffs away.
They're not even out. It's literally just a look. I'm getting a strange sort of... yeah, okay. I'm going to shut up now and carry on. Summarized in a question. Am I allowed to have a specific Eve client window pinned to all of my virtual desktops in order, for example, to keep the Eve clients within my Scout characters in line of sight at any point and time, no matter which virtual desktop I am? Reply, yes, absolutely. Simple, clear, concise. Very, very, very.
There wasn't somebody coming through with a question of, but can you be more specific on that?
Well, there might be. I have no. Well, put it this way.
No.
Grimmy hasn't responded. Can I use IS Boxer for Windows management as long as I do not broadcast? I cannot get a clear answer on this. Here's a clear fucking answer. Yes. Window management of unmodified, untampered Eve client Windows is allowed using IS Boxer or any other applications or tools. So IS Boxer is not banned.
No,
Some of the components of it are.
No program out there
Correct.
is banned. But again, window management, meaning that if you want to use it to manage the entire window, have at it. If you want to sample some piece of it through another piece of IS Boxer that digs into DirectX and again creates a different desktop, okay, then no, you can't. You're not going to be able to do that. But see, that's where that original question of well, can I use IS Boxer as a form of window management? Some people out there will sit there and go, oh, if you tell me yes on window management, it means I can manipulate the window. No, do not manipulate the window.
Exactly.
Except for its dimensions.
Exactly, and that's what happens. Next one from Papa Django. A last question: is your detection methodology that takes account to PvP or not? I do not PvP anymore. I do industry and trade. What kind of unfair advantage could I have in this case? All activities within game world is subject to our detection methodology. With all players on a single server in direct competition with each other, even trade and industry activities are PvP. Any type of automation would give you an unfair advantage, for example. Simple.
Yeah. But anyways, again, because this is supposedly one of the shorter topics today, probably not a whole lot of need to spend on this. I mean, there was the real money trading aspect of it where they talk about amnesty. Okay, they don't talk about building a wall, but they do talk about amnesty. The fact that, look, if you're somebody who goes out there and buys this, if you're a disc seller, I don't think there's any goddamn amnesty for you. Okay? No. Just so you know, even if you have a baby on this side of the border, there's no amnesty for you as an ISK seller. Okay. However, if you are an ISK buyer, okay, and you are willing to come forward and say, hey, look, I made a mistake. I bought this ISK. Here's what I bought. Here's who I bought it from. Here's the evidence of it. Okay, they can provide you amnesty. Okay, I think on a one-time.
Is this one-time
thing?
The amount of
one time.
I think what they're going to do is probably still take the ISK from you.
Oh, they are definitely going. Yeah. Don't think that you get to come across the border and keep your your currency that you have made here illegally. Okay, all right. Which means that, look, if you bought it from somebody out there in the nefarious world of illicit RMT, okay, you've paid them real money, right? Your real money will be gone because they have it now. The baddies have it, all right. And see, now I'm going back to
noisy.
Noisy.
Yeah, Twitch. The reason for the amnesty is so that so many people bought ISK to buy skill injectors.
Well, I think it's because basically what they want to do is they want to say, look, we don't want people who have come to this game new. Maybe they came to this game from some place where this was tolerated or overlooked or whatever, right? We don't want them to feel as though, oops, they've committed a crime. Their only option is to remain silent about it. All right. Better that they come clean on their own, and instead of us finding out later, taking the ISK away from them, and then dropping, the initial 7-day ban, I think it is, on them.
Yeah.
We will work with them to say, okay, look, you recognize that you have committed an error. You're acting in good faith. We will also act in good faith. Boom, amnesty.
True.
This is not a path to playership. This is amnesty for an offense. Well, I guess it is a path to playership. You get to keep playing without a temporary ban or that necessarily blemish on your record.
Exactly. Pretty much the rest of it in this, they go through and answer questions. There's a few more. Pretty much they're all, and I'm going to be seriously honest now. They're common sense answers to questions that if you have more than 2 brain cells to rub together, you can think of. And Cypher, I'm not singling you out here, but the greater Goon Continuum probably would go, well, why can't I do this?
Man, what's up with the Gurgoon?
I'm not up with the Gurgoon.
Yeah, really. Where'd that come
guns.
No, I ain't got Gurgoons. I'm pro-Goon, motherfucker. But yes. They're using the pinpoint down sellers more quickly. Yes, they are. And if CCP gets more money from while washing dirty ISK, then the legit company RMT is still valid. Well, it is. And again, they do legit RMT. That's how it is.
Now the other thing that they mention is in this is the snitches don't get stitches, they get plex.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're somebody out there who runs across something and you can rat out real money trading, then and can provide sufficient evidence for them to make actionable, then then there could be plex in it for you.
Yep.
I know. Okay. Oh, I don't know. Okay. I assume that Noisy is sitting on like a swag pile of ISK that he just swims in from
from plexes.
From ratting people out.
Yeah, plexes for finding evidence out there. I don't think anybody finds evidence.
I said this on the show. Well, I didn't say it on the show. I said it on the pre-show just with Dirk. I was at Eve London yesterday. I got given one of those. 60 Days of Eve. Actually, 60 Days of Eve. A physical card. A physical game card. And I sold it for 2.2 billion ISK because you can sell it via the forums. So
nice.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. You can't turn it into a Plex. It's just 60 Days of Eve. But yeah, that's what it is. But no, what else? Yeah, so there's another thing about passwords and security as well. Use strong passwords. Use two-factor authentication if you can. It's available if you have an Android or iOS phone. So you have an Android phone or an Apple phone. You can get the Google Authenticate for it. You can use that. That is amazing. Basically, it's very simple. I will show you what it is. It won't matter because in 30 seconds it will change. I'll show you a few seconds beforehand. But basically, it's a bunch of, a bunch of codes. I'm just waiting for it to calm down for a few seconds so it's gone. But it just gives you like that. It's a bunch of codes that literally just count down. They change every so often. And those are now not valid. They've changed. Right this second, they've changed. And all that is, when you log in, it asks you for a code. So it asks me to type the code in, and that's it. And it's just an extra level of security. So it helps. And then use strong passwords. Don't share your login information. Don't use the same password on different EVE Online accounts. Never use your EVE Online username and password for social media, other gaming accounts or passwords. This is all basic common sense, and a lot of people know this, but they don't do it. So it's just how it is. Don't click on dodgy links. And change your password. Do not store it.
I keep trying to tell my mother that, and she just doesn't follow it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she goes, Dirk, I got a problem. I need to buy some Viagra, and also I need some Bitcoin to unlock my computer. Whatever. I know it's a bad accent and whatever, but shit like that.
I just want to air gap her fucking computer, I swear to God.
Air gap it, and then just, if she wants the internet, you have to send her a flash drive that you plug in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Here, I'll download today's internet for you. Here, search this flash drive.
And agree, Spider Stoken in-game. Common sense is anything but common. Damn fucking right. So yeah, P.S. Not a security blog without a graph, so here you go.
No, I was just going to say, Team Security is one of those ones who likes to, put out some graph porn, and yeah, they put out a stellar...
Yep, the graph porn, and it's literally...
Skill training is destroyed.
That is Voltage Fantaso. Thank you for following as well. It comes up on the thing. So yes, your friendly neighborhood security folks. So that's the second smallest thing in today's show.
Which means this show is literally going to take like 9 hours.
No, it's not. Should we hit PvE next?
Let's quick hit this PvE thing. Okay, so earlier in the week, you had an article out on Crossing Zebras called "Initiative in the Farms and Fields." Okay, yep. which was by Asher Elias, who is an FC within Goonswarm, that also does a podcast, the Asher Hour, and writes for Crossing Zebras once in a while. This one here dealt with the PvE aspects of changes made to of upcoming changes to carriers and the ability to AFK rat using them or just use them for PvE. It comes at it much more from the carrier ratting side of things. A couple days later, I saw on Twitter that Lazarus Tellraven, also one of the, basically like the super FCs from
GSF,
Goonswarm.
Yeah. FC of my heart.
Said, yeah, exactly. The hero of the Battle of BTACR.
Exactly.
streamer extraordinaire on Twitch. Anyways, he was talking about how he had something to say and wanted to write it and whatnot. So now, he didn't put it up on TMC. I don't think he wanted to go through the whole editing process. I honestly, I don't even know why it didn't go on TMC, but whatever. Sindel Pelion offered up her blog that she doesn't use very often to put up one where he was commenting about PvE. And quite honestly, just to keep things a little bit short, I suppose, I kind of want to focus more on Laz's because it was more general, as opposed to being very specific to fighters and whether or not carriers should AFK rat and whether or not, you know, auto aggro of the new fighters coming up and what blah blah. Okay, I don't necessarily want to tackle that right now because I think that the more general point that Laz is trying to make, right, is he uses elements of PvE, okay, to finance doing other things in the game, namely PvP, right? And he sees the PvE being so bad, boring, and time-consuming that you know, efforts to get rid of AFK type stuff and things like that he thinks are bad. And I'm paraphrasing here, but you know, he thinks are bad. And I concur. Okay, and Wiggles. Yeah, I was sitting there taking a shower this morning going, God, Wiggles and I could probably do this thing about, you know, hey, Wiggles, what do you think about PvE? And I could answer it, okay? I know Wiggles is a PvE guy. I know that he doesn't get into PvP. I know he doesn't get into other elements of EVE Online. But he does not like the PvE that is in EVE. A lot of it is stale. Other parts of it he doesn't enjoy, that sort of thing. And I'm sure that he could answer for me as well.
Exactly. Like this morning, I was doing. I was going from one system. I was going about 4 jumps. I did some scanning, and I'm like, okay, scanning. My girlfriend came on. What are you doing? I'm playing Eve. Is that it? I went, yeah, it's just scanning. I thought it was shooting people. I said, no, it's not. I do PvE in it. But even then, the PvE is boring because it's the same monotonous grind. I do the same in WoW. Mine and Dave, friend of the show, and that. Needed some help in World of Warcraft. So this month, he bought me 30 days of WoW time. I've now got enough gold in there to buy 2 more months of WoW game time. Just by literally logging in once a day, doing some very basic crap and logging out. You know, PvE is monotonous.
In a lot of games, well, right. In a lot of games, the PvE, it may be more interesting to some people. They may see it as something where it's like, you know, I really enjoy this and I do it for the enjoyment, right? In other games, PvE is a means to an end. It is part of what, you know, what's called the grind. Yeah. All right, so that you might do other things. However, in other games, the outcome of your PvE, the effect that you have on whatever in-game economy that there might be, okay, doesn't have the kind of effect that it theoretically can and does have in EVE Online. And this is where the problem, I think, comes in, is that we have this world. I mean, we have this world and this world economy and all of this that comes into it, to where, gosh, they can obviously do something about the fun factor. Okay, there's no question about that, and I'm sure that that's something that you can speak to way better than I. I never looked at PvE in this game as something I cared about having fun with. Didn't care about the level of boredom, didn't care about, because it was means to an end. It was I do this, I want it to be as efficient and repeatable and just rinse and repeat, because that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here for the PvE. But I do need the ISK that it generates. I do need the income that it generates to be able to go and do these other things.
True. And that's what it is. And that's where you do it. Some people go and do. They have incursion alts in high sec. They will go and do, they'll go and do incursions for,
a couple weeks.
A week. They'll go, right, well, we're in a quiet time, we're in not deployed time, I'm going to go to high sec, you do incursions, you may earn 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 billion ISK. You're like, right, okay, that's it, my PvP's funded for the next month and a half, 2 months, whatever, unless you really need some blingy stuff. And if you're in a big alliance, if you're in a big, well-known, respected alliance that has a decent SRP program, all your funding is your modules mostly. And even then,
well, see, yeah, and and that's another thing is that look, depending on who you're talking to, right? Depending on who you're talking to in the game and where they're associated with, and maybe what kind of social welfare kind of structure they're a part of, all right? And in some of these alliances, well, in many alliances out there, they have some element of ship replacement program or ship reimbursement program for combat related to the alliance. Other ones have more robust ones where it's like, hey, we pay out on, you just doing PvP in our area. It may be different for you. For those people who live under a flag that has, a really robust one, any PvE they're doing is really for their own personal wallet, because their other stuff, may be just flat out reimbursed from the alliance. Maybe you're in an alliance like that, but you don't accept you don't tap into the SRP resources that are available to you from the government. So your PvE is you're financing all of the things that you do, whatever it is that you do. It's not just about PvP, right? You may be doing PvE to finance your construction company that you have in EVE, or finance some other aspect of things that you do in EVE, the acquisition of blueprints, the acquisition of this, that, or the other thing. The point that Laz is trying to make, is that the grind, okay, the ability to finance these things for people, especially because Laz has been doing, he is a big swinging dick, FC and all that kind of stuff. But one of the things that he's also been doing a lot of is this, small running around, low sec, shooting people, small gang, loner, one on many, whatever, PvP, right? You go out there and you tend to die a lot and you lose your ship. And he calls into question how long it takes to be able to get back the funds to be able to continue with that death and destruction lifestyle.
Exactly.
And it is a big topic, but again, it comes in and begins to beg the question about, but how do you make it in a way where, yes, we want you to have fun, but you going out there, you go to your day job, you do your PvE, you get paid your ISK, you now go and spend it on what it is you want to do for your leisure activity, okay, which is going out there and PvPing. There's also the person who makes ratting for ISK or running missions for ISK or incursions or whatever their career in just the wealth accumulation department. And that's where so both sides of the equation utilize it, right? That other guy may really have no kind of expenses. They're just in it for the wealth accumulation sort of part of the game. That's how they win EVE, is by getting rich. But it all affects the economy. Whereas Laz may be out there, running these things so that he can get ISK, so that he can throw it back into the economy for buying things that then go out and get exploded and stuff. Somebody else may be doing it because they're just accumulating wealth, and maybe they're accumulating Plex, or maybe they're accumulating this other stuff over here that maybe doesn't go back into the economy quite the same way.
True. Noisy says in Twitch,
but it's all about the economy.
Noisy says in Twitch, the length of time to get ISK and make ships loss harder is the reason so many people get the shakes.
Yeah. That is, you know what? That is an absolutely good point, right? That once you get so much ISK, that what you can do is you just go out there and turn and burn. You get your ship blown up. Who cares? What do I care? I've got so much ISK that it doesn't even matter. Yeah, maybe you do begin to lose the shakes of PvE.
Raven Galactic, make ISK or die trying. Hashtag yes. So yes. And by the way, freelancer, I know that Stevie SG is back at CCP as CCP Red Cape. I knew a week or so ago, maybe a little bit more. She kind of poked me and said, "Hey, I've got something to tell you, but you can't tell anyone because me and Stevie, we're like that. We're friends. Yeah, we're bros. We're cool. Deal with it. Yeah."
That wasn't her name before, though.
Her name was CCP Stevie SG. She used Stevie SG, and she's now Red Cape. Before, yeah, she's now Red Cape, but she's back on Valkyrie. She works as a Valkyrie community developer.
Yeah.
She took the time off. She left CCP. She went to work for, I believe, GIFGAF, the mobile phone network in the UK. She also worked for the people who are doing Rock Band and a few other companies. She worked for Sony for a while as well, and then came back. But it's all good.
But this
nice
whole
to see her
conversation
back.
over PVE is two-sided and has been around for literally ever. Okay, one, the whole idea that PVE should perhaps be more enjoyable, that that it should be more engaging. Okay, whether or not you should be able to, using the mechanics in the game, okay, have it be either semi-AFK or flat out fully AFK. For certain periods.
Yeah.
A lot of purists out there will tell you, no, I do not believe it should be able to be AFK. Just remember that the people who are AFK, okay, it's not AFK with no risk at all, right? Those people are just willing to be AFK, not have to pay attention, knowing that statistically, every once in a while, they're going to lose their ship.
Yeah.
Right, in the process. Okay.
And they'll and the amount they lose, as you said, they will offset it by how much they're earning. So if
They
you're
will
AFK,
offset it over time.
If you're AFK and you're earning 100 million ISK an hour, or let's just use that as an example, and the ship you're in is worth 250 million ISK, you know you only have to do 2.5 hours worth of AFK ratting to earn that back. If you can get 10 hours of AFK ratting in before you lose a ship, quid pro quo, your bonus. Kremlik in the Twitch chat. The main issue is the sub. If people don't know that, the moment you forget to insure and lose a fuck ton, and the time and loss of technically money invested due to time sub, then I think you get more PvP. I kind of maybe think, not sure. I'm not 100% sure on that, but you know, again, it's a game. Eve's one of the very, very few subscription games still out there that is subscription based. World of Warcraft being the biggest, because Blizzard make a fuck ton of money off it. Second Life has a subscription model if you want to pay for it to get extra access to stuff. You don't have to, it's free. But
Sayaka Iwado going dual channel, saying in game and in the Twitch, AFK gaming should be dealt with.
Yes.
Wait, you forgot the LOL.
Oh, the LOL.
Sorry, LOL. Yeah. Look, maybe it should. Okay, again, I think some purists out there, might sit there and say, look, everything should be,
active or die.
Active or die. Okay. However, and again, it's just the whole debate over, and what is the PvE of a game there for?
Exactly.
Historically in Eve, there was always an element who, in any game, there's always going to be those people who they're just out for the PvE. They're just out for what they get from it, right? Whether that be enjoyment or whether it be income or whether it be a combination of the two. For others, again, means to an end. And in Eve, because Eve was so heavily dominated for so long about what the players do in the game and how PvP, the whole creation destruction element, okay? PvP is super important to Eve. Why? Because if things aren't getting blowed up, then things don't need to be made.
Exactly.
There's all of this integration, and it's a big giant web. That's why it's just like real life. So therefore, it's that whole thing of, is the grind in Eve really designed for a means to an end? I would say that it is, and there, and because of that, they want you doing other things. But if all you want to do is just PvE, that's cool. Okay, you can do that, but I do believe that it is inherently there as a means to an end.
Just don't be surprised if somebody shows up in local and blows you up.
Noisy just said, because we were talking about submodels and that, and submodels is WoW, Final Fantasy, Eve, and a couple other smaller games that went free to play to sub. He's got to find those games out. And again, there are a lot of games out there that have gone sub to free to play, but there are some other games that have gone from free to play to sub, and it's just how it is. And again, I wouldn't be surprised in a few years, once the Oculus comes out, and once the Vive comes out, and we know and we get version 2 of those products and they're cheaper, I wouldn't be surprised if Eve actually went free to play.
I mean, a lot of people, and Sayaka, was basically talking something about, if you're mining and you go to the kitchen to make food or whatever, should you be able to look. You've put your stuff at risk. Okay, whatever level of risk was there while you were sitting there. Now your eyes are off it. You could die, and hell, whether it was Ishtars, whether it's carriers, whether it was ratting ravens back in the day, okay, people die to ratting, all right? And people die to taking their eyes off of the screen. Even out in the big blue donut with the Intel channels and everything else, they die by the, by the countless dozens or hundreds every single day, right? Because there are people out there hunting. And if you're AFK, you're going to lose it. But statistically, once again, people are going to find that over time, they can make money doing it. And it's just about the mindset of the player. I'm willing to risk being AFK because I know that chances are I'm not going to die often enough for it to overcome. I can't say that I necessarily totally agree with it, but because of drones and drone aggro and things like that, it's there. There are ways of making more ISK to where you're active. Again, this is a debate that has happened for a long time, and I think it will continue to happen. But Laz brought it up the other day in a little article, and I think it's I think it's worth commenting on, because there's so much more to this than just, oh my God, AFK ratting. Okay, It's not just about that, because you can go off onto all kinds of different avenues related to this. Risk and reward, high sec versus null sec versus wormholes versus low sec. The overall economy. I mean, you can go down a whole bunch of different paths that are related back to ISK faucets and ISK sinks, and it's just. Or you can be someplace where you're getting cloaky camped and you can't do anything. So
Yeah.
I think Gornasha has a good point.
I very much doubt Evil go free to players that would collapse the market, and nearly everything will be linked to the Plexes, and the Plex market will have. I don't know. I was only surmising. Maybe it could do. Maybe there'll be such a way that you can pay for stay. Again, it's not my decision. I'm just throwing that idea out there. That nugget, maybe. I'm not a game designer. I'm not going to look at monetary and markets and all this and all that. But still. But
I'll be honest, I don't think Eve would survive as an FTP.
No, again, well, freelancers, CCP Games is a scarce resource. Even when they made $20.7 million US profit last year, and it's right. I did send you a link, Dirk, in what's it called? Noisy says I'm channeling Chancellor Bean. I'm not. I'm channeling Chancellor. I'm not. I'm just being the instigator of discussion, which is what I like to be. I did send you a link, Dirk, about the Icelandic article that said CCP made billions of ISK last year, which they literally did, in profit. But again,
I think that was literal in-game ISK.
It might have been.
Yeah. No. And we should probably comment on that. We should probably comment on that article. That came out again. It used to be that CCP released its financial, for people who don't know, for people who are listening to the show and don't know. CCP used to list their corporate financials. They had to, because they had public debt. That was out there, and as a requirement of that, they had to publicly disclose their financials, as though they were a public company. They retired that debt and do not any longer have to disclose it in an official capacity. However, something we learned last year, I think it was, after they stopped publicly disclosing, is that in Iceland, apparently, they still have like companies still have to disclose there. So it tends to come out in articles written by local local newspapers or whatever up there. And one of those came out the other day, and it did show that CCP did record what appears to be, based on the limited numbers that were in there, a healthy bottom line profit. A healthy, even really a healthy top line profit. Although sales were down.
Yes.
Okay, sales were down about 4%. Okay, which I don't think anybody is shocked by. But nobody should be shocked by the fact that they are also profitable. The year before, they were entirely not profitable, okay? But that was because they had done write-offs, okay? And those write-offs ate through every last bit of, profit that they had and then some, okay? Almost completely depleting shareholder equity. Well, I think it went, I'm pretty sure it went negative, or it got damn close to zero, or whatever the hell it was.
I think it did. I think it was
But
close.
nobody should be surprised that the company is profitable. Okay, even if you think Eve is dying, even if you think subscribers are down, okay, revenues were in fact down this year. Okay, but Eve as a game is profitable, and because of that, CCP is profitable, and they've also got these other things on the horizon, right? So
Exactly.
It shouldn't be shocking to anybody that this year was better year over year. Last year was a paper loss disaster.
But then that happens in business. Sometimes you get a paper loss, but you're still operating at a profit where you can work. As long as it doesn't get to that point where you can't even fulfill your orders or get stuff in to do your orders and, you can't trade. As long as you're profitable and operating, it's fine, I think.
Yeah, I mean, what Eve is not, okay, is a growth engine.
Oh,
okay,
never.
It is not a revenue. It is not a revenue growth engine. It's not going to come from the top line of subscriptions. Okay, because subscriptions are probably not growing. I think as we're all well aware. Perhaps some of this additional income that comes in from obviously the sale of Plex. Okay, the sale of Aurum now.
Yeah.
These are additive to their, to their revenue stream,
And the sale of injectors, remember, because you can, extractors, because you can buy them directly for cash.
Yes,
And
these
they-
other
and
things
they're-
that
and they are
selling.
slightly cheaper. They're a penny cheaper. You buy one extractor.
They're a penny cheaper.
No, seriously. I went to look. You can buy an extractor for £3.99. You can buy the Aurum for said extractor for £4.
Right, but
I remember the Aurum could be used for other things, skins, that sort of stuff. So yeah.
the Eve, I'll call it the Eve Online division, okay, of CCP, okay, no longer a growth engine for the company. I think that's pretty self-evident from a number of different metrics. However, it is a pretty good cash cow. It throws off cash. It throws off profit. And that is something that they use both for, obviously, putting in their own wallets for the shareholders and things like that, okay, but also for reinvesting back into the game. Okay, we continue to see ongoing development of this game, and I think that it continues to be meaningful ongoing development, and I think that as they begin to make a switch back to expansions, maybe that will even become more evident. But also to reinvest into new initiatives, whether it be things like Valkyrie, whether it be things like Gunjack,
Legion, whatever that project's
the
going to be.
failed Dust 514,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff, which is something that as a company they need to do. I mean, as a company they need to do it. Period. End.
Well,
But they are
you got to find other markets that you can, make money in, and those are two things that they've been in,
Yeah.
doing.
And that's it,
Yep.
And that's how it is. Dark Soul MS Junior says, I wonder will they ever see you sell ships for Aurum or cash? Or be another cash boost, I suppose. No, you'd never see that. However, you will always have the ability...
I never want to never say never. Okay?
I know.
But,
Well, you shouldn't see that. You should always see the ability to buy Plex or Aurum and then use that in-game to sell that for ISK to buy the ships. But yeah. Grim Dark Knight says, Eve is where the Draenei came from. Or they should just merge Eve and WoW and call it WoW. This is Eve. If you didn't know, the Draenei are space goats. They came on a spaceship to Azeroth and then Cypher, skill yourself.
Please.
skill yourself.
Hashtag skill yourself, small s, whatever.
Maybe that should be a thing, right? With injectors now.
Well, you can. So
skill yourself.
Skill yourself, mofo. So
Skill yourself in game.
yeah, skill yourself. Brackets in game, yo. Not real life, but no. It's a very interesting article, a very interesting post by Laz and written out there, and the one on Crossing Zebras. It's worth the read, and it does make you think. Even if you just think, it's all rubbish. I just do PvE or PvP. Just have a look and read it.
I don't know that we're going to have a whole lot of time, so I'm just going to mention it. There's actually a good article, another good article out on Crossing Zebras, the one by LeBook Kong, that I swear, I think this is one of the most well-written, thought-provoking kind of pieces that I've read by somebody related to EVE Online about the game and whatnot in like ever. I think my comment out there is something like top 5 of all time kind of thing. Look, it's not going to jump out and bite you as, oh God, this deals with something in the meta or something like that. I mean, it's just a well-written article, a well-written kind of thought piece. that if you are one of those people that likes to go out there and read, you should probably give it a read. Another item of note that I don't know that we have on the show notes because I didn't scroll down far enough is Andrew Gruen's book is arriving.
Yes.
Well, for those who pre-ordered,
the pre-ordered and the Kickstarter,
you either have it or it's on the way. Or
that's coming. I didn't put it on the notes, but that's coming out. That's good. If I had the money, I would have pre-ordered a Kickstarter back to the thing. Oh, speaking of Kickstarter, Cyanide and Happiness are having a card game backing. Fucking awesome. Go do it. Seriously, just search Cyanide and Happiness, because who doesn't love Cyanide and Happiness?
I have no idea what the hell that
game
is.
And you lost me at that.
I'll just find it. Cyanide and Happiness card game. Basically, it's this. Cyanide and Happiness. I'm going to post it in TeamSpeak, and I'll post it everywhere. It's this. It's this site. I'll post it everywhere. Cyanide and Happiness. It's just like, yay, we're going to do this. Oh. It's basically those two little things. Like, swing, Billy, swing, hits it, and he hits the dad, and he goes, Billy, you forgot to take your medication, hits him in the head. It's just comics. It's those sort of comics. There's loads of ones there. Great. They're making a card game. It looks good. Anyway.
But I mean, the Andrew Gruen book.
Yes.
I mean, what is this? 2.5 years?
Yes.
Since the initial Kickstarter.
I'm just going to look it up now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while. It's been something that which is what these things do. They take a while to
2014.
To come out.
It was April. The Kickstarter said, if I scroll back far enough, project launch the April 24th, 2014. So nearly 2 years.
Nearly 2 years from the point of the Kickstarter. I think there was some announcement, stuff, ahead of that. Some discussion about it that was out there ahead of that. The history of the Great Wars. I look at this, okay, or I think about this, and I wonder if we'll ever get another history book written, and what the period after that, the history will look like, right? I mean, because. That period was about these big, giant conquest level wars and all that went in that, right? The fighting and the dying and the meta and the spying and all that kind of stuff. And I wonder what the next one will. Yeah, I don't know that a book about small gang PvP is going to be all that big. I don't know that maybe some of the direction that Eve is currently in right now makes for a great book like that of the future. But
not right now, but maybe in 3 years,
maybe
when everything's turned around.
Twitch streaming or something.
Yeah, a Twitch stream. But let's do that. Let's Twitch stream the history of Eve Online and this from 2015 forward. Yes, no. We'll see.
Yeah, but, that'll be a short stream.
Yeah, it'll be like, look, go.
But this was a big endeavor. It took a lot of time. I think it's great because once again, Eve, it's a game. It's a world. It's a simulator. It's all right. Eve has a history. It has a history that is still with us today.
Exactly.
Things are the way they are because of what happened in the history of Eve, and I think it's great that people like that have taken the time and effort to go out there and document it.
So we've got
not just because it's a community thing or anything like that, for the love of God, but just because it's. I like history to begin with.
Other news as well this week. 3 developers have departed CCP or going to depart CCP. CC Scarpia, the lead game designer for EVE Online, has left CCP. CCP Ytterbium, senior game designer for EVE Online, will depart at the end of March, and CCP Fox 4, technical director, will leave in June. This was reported on TMC this week. Sad news, but you know what? As I said to you, Dirk, over Skype and that, people move on. They make choices in their life.
Yeah, this is another one of those things. Like CCP's financials, real money trading, and employees leaving a company to seek opportunity elsewhere. We've been down this road so many so many times. Freelancer, I'm laughing at you right now.
Yep.
You're coming. I'm not getting into Kickstarter jokes, no, or community jokes. No. Well, I guess I was, but we've been down this path before, right? I mean. employees of all sorts, of all brands of companies out there, leave to seek opportunity elsewhere for whatever reason. I don't think that this is indicative of Eve is dying or CCP is dying or anything along those lines. Ytterbium, with his role in Citadels, it's like, oh man, but I'm quite certain that there's somebody behind that who's going to take over. Fox 4, I don't know. I saw something out on Reddit. He may be leaving sooner rather.
Yeah. Well, let's look at this. On Reddit, there was CCP. There was Eve London this weekend. There was also Eve Dublin this weekend. 2 player meetups. There was a third one as well, I think. I did see. CCP Fox 4. This was posted 14 hours ago on Reddit. Eve Dublin. CCP Fox 4 leaks wormhole stabilizers coming with Citadels. CCP Fox 4 is drunk and talking about wormhole stabilizer service modules for Citadels on the Citadel expansion. Discuss, and that's it.
Discuss.
Wow.
Now, again, unless you were there, you don't know, because this can be unconfirmed or whatever. And again, this is Reddit, and again, it's all happened.
If it's not on Pastebin, it doesn't count.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't want to go there, but if it's not on Pastebin and Xanderfina isn't on there, it says Xander/Dave, you don't know it's true. It might not be true. You never know.
Was Gorski in Dublin, or
I don't know.
Are there any additional connections to that we can make to?
Yeah, but no. It's again getting back to the original thing. It is sad where people leave, but as we've said before, people move on. They decide to get a better job elsewhere or pursue endeavors elsewhere, and that's what happens. I've done it in my life where I've left companies, and I've hated to do it, but you know what? It's called being a human being. But yeah. Actually, Dan had a really good comment on this. He goes, this is a normal turnover for a games developer company in the size of CCP. Departures are no cause for concern, at least in the quantities and positions. Simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was a time when we paid a little more attention to these things, right? That there were more dots being connected, instability within the company and the financials and things like that, and they did have layoffs at one point, and there were some people that left there where it was cause for concern.
Yeah.
But I think that we've seen enough people come and go, and yes, this is announcing 3 at relatively the same time, but it's not. It's not layoffs. It's not, oh God, these guys are apparently so unhappy that they're, that they're going to riot. It's not that.
No. Right.
Although anybody can make out of it what they want to.
Let's sit down and do this, shall we? Here's the
I'm already sitting, thanks.
You're already sitting? Okay.
Oh, the minutes.
The minutes.
Props to whoever, because I don't know that it was announced who was kind of the lead person on putting out the minutes. But I'm going to, I do want to give props to CCP and the CSM for getting the minutes out in what I would call a reasonably timely manner. Okay, reasonable on both sides. One for us, okay,
yep.
To be able to read these things in a reasonable amount of time after the fact, but also not unreasonable for them with that 24-hour turnaround stuff that they were doing. That was too quick. Okay,
yeah,
and I think that the minutes suffered for it, even though
it was nice.
We were getting something.
Oh, it was nice to get it, but again, as you said, it was the fact that we did. What did we do? The first time they did it, we did 4 shows, didn't we? Well, 3 shows.
Yes.
We did 3 shows.
We did 3
3 or
shows.
4.
We did 3 shows,
Day 4
and then
wasn't worth it.
Day 4 wasn't worth it. And then the next time we did 2 shows because it was like we're gonna.
Yep.
But again, I understand that in the media. Whatever you want to call us, we do that. We like to get this done. But there are some times where it's nice to get it out. Okay, it came out on a Friday. CC, I'm going to do a CC, please. If you could put it out like midweek so we've got time to read it, because I really read it this morning. But yeah, anyway.
Well, they can't help when
yes.
when anybody chooses to have their show or put out a podcast. So I mean, they put it out. It's all in one nice document, which is good. One of the things that I think is worth remarking on is that there's very little in the way of entire sections that are NDA'd out of this.
I think there's only one.
Team security was completely NDA'd. Obviously, there's stuff that it doesn't say, oh, this is NDA'd.
Yeah.
It's just not there. Okay, so like, I am sure that part of the discussion on Section 1 with Roadmap, you see a lot of questions being asked and a lot of comments being made, but not necessarily answers from, from Seagull on some matters. So I mean, look, there's stuff that's not in there because it was NDA'd, but I think that they've done a nice, a nice job of putting this together for people who are interested in what was discussed there. I would encourage you to read it. It is 79 pages long. I ran through it on a first pass the day that it came out, and have tried to, maybe do a second pass on it. But again, I think it's worthwhile to read. We'll try and recap some of it here. We're obviously not going to be able to hit everything. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Anyway, right. Let's do this. So I cherry picked some comments from it. My takeouts from the summit notes. The roadmap. I'm going to read this verbatim. Sort brought up that people live in Null have nothing to fight over at the moment. Seagull explained how difficult it was to develop features in piecemeal, and it might have made sense in retrospect to do sovereignty as part of a whole Citadel's plan.
Stop.
Yeah.
Okay, because that right there is an extremely key sentence. Okay, it is something that has been discussed multiple times. Regarding when they moved to this new rapid release cycle. Okay, what first was a 6-week release cycle, and now it seems to be like kind of a once-a-month release cycle. That there were a number of issues that were involved in that, and the biggest one, and I think that it is the one that has caused them to add back the possibility of expansions from time to time, not semi-annual ones the way that we used to have, but as needed, was this whole idea of basically since Phoebe, okay, so basically since October of 2014 time frame-ish, okay, we have had a series of changes that have had a significant impact on nullsec and other areas tangentially, okay, that when taken in isolation probably caused more pain than needed, but had they been wrapped together as the full package, would have made a lot more sense and probably worked together and dovetailed with one another a lot better. So, when you take Phoebe, when you take some of the industry changes that they made that were specifically sort of tied to nullsec industry, then, of course, Aegis sovereignty, and, on that we go now with capital rebalancing and ultimately citadels and all of that, right? I think what she's admitting to is the fact that we may have been better off packaging all this together. Yeah. We would have had less, blowback from the community. Maybe it would have all seemed more logical, because you can read stuff on paper, you can hear about things, but to actually see it all together is a different story.
Exactly. Mike has a right agreed with Sort Dragon that people live in nullsec have less to do. They are further from each other and less to fight for. Fights are sporadic and over small things. Jane said that sovereignty warfare is less fun. It's designed to let new people into the sovereignty, but then the eviction process is less fun for both sides because the objectives are less interesting. Corbeck said that big blocks haven't moved much in the new sovereignty, and Sort added that starting a fight with another alliance is boring these days. Steve Renukin said that losing systems has less impact than it used to. The key point at the very, very end of the roadmap bit is this. Sort Dragon wanted to add one last comment about intosising. Intosing is boring, but watching someone else intosis is even more boring.
Yes, and obviously the debate over sovereignty mechanics and that kind of thing, it will go on forever. It has been around forever, from the old sovereignty system to Dominion sovereignty to now, and it will continue to go on. I'm a firm believer that the mechanics matter less than perhaps the reason for the objectives. Okay. Yes, Dominion sovereignty may have been boring. Well, guess what? every sovereignty system, the grinding out of people's sovereignty, all right, is not necessarily going to be the most exciting thing unless a battle takes place, okay? Unless it brings a battle to occur at that point in time. But the reason to even embark on it in the first place is the thing that I think that we're struggling with at this point, more than just the mechanics of, and if I were going to go and grind on somebody's space, how would I do it?
True.
And I think that's one of the things that you read in the in a number of these comments here. Just right off the bat, Sort brought up that people in Null have nothing to fight over at the moment. I mean, there's not a good reason to go. There's not a good reason to go wherever using Phoebe and things like that. Which is why you've had a number of people who at one point owned sovereignty, who now choose not to own sovereignty, but choose to be kind of attackers basing out of NPC, NPC or lowsec.
Mm-hmm. Again, it's one of those things to think about. It's true. You really, when you look at it, okay, what's happening with SMA and, PL/Horde, whatever at the moment, that sort of stuff, because they're creating content because they want to do it. But that's them creating content because they want to go do something. It's not like, do they really need the space? No, they're going to evict them and then leave. It's not that they're going to keep it. PL won't keep it. They never do they?
I mean, no, not under the current thing. I mean, the last time that PL really owned sovereignty was under the Dominion sovereignty system, with the whole rental empire thing and the way that. Okay, so obviously that mechanic led to consequences that weren't necessarily good for the game. But for a nullsec entity, okay, for somebody who and I'm not laying this at the feet of PL. Okay, I think you could lay this across a lot of people out there, and I don't believe that the decision that they've made is bad. But when you are a nullsec entity, when you are somebody who is into the nullsec warfare kind of thing, right, and you choose to say, it just doesn't make any sense for us to even bother holding sovereignty. Yeah, there's something wrong there, right? But whatever.
Exactly.
I think that one of the things in this particular section that I wanted to point out that you didn't have on the show notes is where CCP Seagull wanted to close out the session by commenting that she believes that overall the game's ecosystem is not healthy at this stage and changes need to be made. The CSM added that they have a big list of potential changes and are more than happy to go over them again. CCP Seagull was receptive to looking over the list again. I think the fact that she recognizes the fact that the overall ecosystem is not healthy is good. That changes need to be made. Yes, it's good. Apparently, the CSM has a whole list of
things.
Has a whole list of things. Yes.
But then again, they're always going to have a
which
list
is an
of
entirely different debate on the CSM and whether or not they're CCP's vision versus the CSM's list of things.
Yeah. Just to talk back in the Twitch chat, Crazy Horse 117 says that we have some CSM members and a few that are running for CSM and don't even play the game. So that's true, and that's why he thinks the CSM is pretty useless. You don't have. This is the thing. In my opinion, you don't have to be someone out there, and again, this is just my opinion, you don't have to be someone who's out there every day in a fleet doing stuff and this and that. Look at Mike Azariah. He doesn't do, like, nullsec hardcore PvP. He lives in highsec. He drives a magic school bus. He goes on, like, MPSI roams and that. He's playing the game, yes, but he's not, like...
Eve's weird. There's a whole bunch of different ways of playing the game, and I mean, I'm not sure exactly what he is... referring to specifically. I don't know if he means that like Scion isn't playing the game.
No, I think he just means the CSM. There's members of the CSM, and I think maybe Scion and a few others.
Well, because look. Do I know that Scion has ever flown a ship in this game? No. Do I think that Scion plays this game? Absolutely. Right. I mean,
whether he plays it from a keyboard or plays it outside and influences.
Yeah, I mean, you've got workers in the factory, you've got administrators, you've got all these different people.
Exactly.
Again, Eve is so incredibly complex that playing it, takes on a whole bunch of different, ideas. That being said, I think there are literally, I'm not making the comment about the CSM, but there are literally people who don't play the game. They're not administering anything. They're not playing anything. maybe they're just keeping up with it, through whatever means. I don't know that any of them are on the CSM. I think most of the people on the CSM are, in fact, connected to the game. When they begin, now they may give up and be burned out and be like, just throw it up in the air somewhere along their term, But,
exactly. But then that's how it is, isn't it? That's how it is with gaming. A lot of people have said to me, Wiggles, why don't you run for the CSM? And I asked them, seriously? And they're like, no, seriously. I went, why would you want me to? Oh, you can communicate. I said, yeah, I'd love to do that. I'd love to be a communicator and be out there. But I don't have the first clue on most of the nullsec, politics and that sort of stuff. Yeah, I report about it on it daily. I read about it. I keep up to date. I wouldn't want to do that. I'd love to be there for a communication standpoint, just to say, look, I'm going to make sure that everything this CSM does is communicated out to the player base. But I wouldn't do it because I don't have the free time.
Freelancer117 asked, Dirks, what does CCP Seagull mean with her version of the ecosystem? You know what? I don't know. That's not spelled out in there. That is in this section, of the EVE roadmap. Perhaps she went on afterwards to say more, but again, this is the minutes. It's not a full recap. Of what was said there. I don't know exactly what she means by the game's ecosystem. If she means that in a very broad sense, or it's more related back to that kind of nullsec, the nullsec stagnation kind of stuff that was being discussed.
Yeah. Team Psycho Sisters, the next section. A very short bit on this. CCP Optimal said on the topic of the classic camera that they can't really keep the old camera if they want to add new functionality such as the tactical camera mode.
Right, which is
they need to fix that damn thing and stop giving me a black screen, so I just shut it off.
There's obviously been issues regarding this camera out there. For now, you have the option of using the old camera. You have the option of tweaking things about the new camera that will make it kind of like the old camera. But they've been quite clear that they cannot keep the old camera.
Yeah.
And basically because of what they're doing with fighters. And I think maybe what they're also doing with some of the other things regarding Titan Doomsdays might also play a piece. Of that as well. Because of the quirkiness of how they're creating because of the intricacy of what they're adding in with relation to fighters and how you can send them that they've had to do stuff with the camera, and this is kind of the result, which draws into whether or not they're trying to do too much maybe with with some of these things like fighters and whatnot, but that's a different story. The fact is that they've had to make changes to the camera, and hopefully they can make improvements on it as well.
The next line says, when asked by the system about keeping the old camera alongside the new one, CCP replied that it adds a massive amount of extra complexity for testing and development and wasn't tenable. And this is it. It's kind of like this week when CCP announced, again, it isn't in the show notes, but Windows XP and Vista support is going to be going away because the launch is changing. So it's about 3% of the player base, but you know what? You move with the times. Windows XP's a...
Update your shit!
Pretty much. Windows XP's a godden old operating system that isn't even getting security updates. I don't even talk about Vista. That pile of shit. I've got in this cupboard here, right here, a copy of Vista. I have one. I have 4 or 5 copies of XP. I have Vista. I have 7.
Dude, honestly, you'd be better off running Windows 2000.
Yeah. Still.
I loved XP.
XP was great.
XP was a pretty solid operating system, I think.
And 7 has become that. 7 became that. 7 became that, and I've been running 10 since the day it came out. I've had no problems with it. But then again, some people do.
Yeah. 7 was solid. 8 was 8 was AMD.
8 was another disaster.
My girlfriend runs 8 on her laptop. She's fine with it because she uses it. So that's how it is. I didn't use it. So EVE producers. Sugar Carl replied that a better way to look at it would be just to make sure that every 6 weeks there is a meeting to discuss things. CCP Minnick replied that monthly would be better as there are 12 releases a year.
Oh, I'm sorry, you've switched to the I mean, here, section. I will say this. One of the longest sections on minutes was this one from Psycho Sisters.
Yes.
Team Psycho Sisters. There was a bunch of stuff in there related to the UI, not just the camera. The camera gets a lot of attention, but there was some other stuffs in there as well. Team Psycho Sisters then showed off some other new UI UX improvements. They showed off a new way of being able to add ships or modules to the skill queue. Okay, so you want to be able to train for this ship? Oh, you could like throw the ship into your skill queue, I guess, and it will load up all the different skills that you would need to get there. So I mean, they're coming up with kind of new and interesting ways for being able to do that stuff. It was a long section. There was actually more in there.
There's a lot in there. Again, this is all the stuff that I sort of cherry picked out, and yeah. But no, it says that 12 releases a year. Basement Ben replied that for his teams, discussing monthly would mean some teams would be talking about stuff in the next release and other releases after. Sugar Carl then said, then again stressed that the idea is to find the best way to integrate into the existing schedule. Do you know what this says to me? They don't have meetings with them every so often. It's maybe every 2-3 months. You would think every month, wouldn't you? You'd think at least once a month they get together and have a high-level discussion, right? Blah, 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 done. That's what
I think there were more regular meetings at one point. But remember, though, it's not... I think that they have more regular meetings with the CSM admins. Okay, so, what used to be Lulu and Stitch, Lulu and Falcon, and now is, Garden Logi Bro. Much more regular with them, I think. And then it all comes down to teams, what they're doing, with individual teams, and that's where there was some breakdown here. But it looks like also they're saying, well, we want to be able to do this with the producers and be, looking higher level. So, yeah, and Wiggles just disappeared. So how you doing, Saber?
Yeah. Oh, if you didn't read the notes, he had to drain his willy.
Oh, I see.
Too much coffee or... Well, no, that's what we're drinking.
Damn, where the hell did my...
And I'm back. Sorry about that. I just literally really needed a pee. So...
That's what I just said, but I said it a lot more clean and nicer.
Well, I needed to go urinate.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously...
I was nicer than that.
Obviously communication had a severe and utter breakdown during this past term. I think that, the conversation here, related to, how they can better... it all goes into an entire freaking discussion on the purpose of the CSM and whatnot. And yeah, anyways.
Well, Krem broke the VOD chat for the people watching it, but if you're actually watching it on Twitch, something new this week, you'll be able to see the chat properly. But yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah. Oh, the Careless Whispers, the Sugar Carl comment reply. I know that. I know that's free. I saw that. That's good. That's good. By the way, we'd normally end up the show now, but we're not. We're going to keep going because we're going to bash through this and get it done. Also, if you want to know when we go live here on Eve Radio on Twitch, follow the channel at the bottom. Hit the little follow button. Follow us. Let us know. Let you know that when we go on, so you can see things like this show. Also, normally, Eve with Style with Denova, she's not here today. She's not feeling too great, so she's taking the day off. But there are a few other DJs who do stream live to here. But we do this show once a week, every week.
You know what I just... Okay. Remember before I was giving props on the timeliness and all the nice... Okay. Sorry, I have a criticism on your CSM minutes, okay? As I'm flipping through my hard copy, okay, because I do like hard copy for stuff like this. There's no goddamn page numbers on anything.
Not on the printout, no.
Skill training is destroyed.
Yeah, not on the printout, exactly. So I'm sitting here and I'm flipping pages, going, "Oh my god, I think I just triple flipped that, and I think I may have reversed it." What section does that go with?
Thank you to Kilbrand for following as well. Yeah, I know. I've just got it in a PDF in front of me, so it's like, I'll scroll through.
Page numbers.
Page numbers. Yeah, no, that's the thing. Needs page numbers.
So, how much ink did you have to buy after you printed that?
Oh my god! I had to go over to the printer at one point because it said, "Hey, you're running low on ink." Yeah, fine. Just keep printing. I don't care if it comes out a little gray.
I've done that before. I've actually done that. So, where are we in the next thing? Right. Capitals. Big section on capitals. I had the tiniest pullout from it ever. Is there anything else you wanted to put on? Is there anything else you wanted to put on producers, Dirk, before we moved on?
No. I mean, but the section in between that was brain in a box.
Yeah. Some of the sections I did skip because they're not.
Yeah.
They don't,
and I don't
jump
want to
out at you.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I don't want to go into in any depth, but those who are interested in Brain in a Box, which is there to help reduce lag and and other things in the game, there's some interesting stuff in there there's some interesting stuff in there related to, I think, more than anything else, obviously Brain in a Box, but also how they switch nodes and maybe where they might need to rebalance nodes, because low sec and high sec are all on kind of shared nodes, right? There's a lot of activity that's going on in low sec these days, maybe less so in null sec in terms of the things that would really tap the resources of their servers and or their nodes, and maybe they would need to rebalance some of that. So there's some of that stuff in there.
One thing, as well, I did actually see it. I did go to make a note on it, and I took it out. It sort of asked about the new TQ hardware with the number of fleet fight nodes to be increased. And the answer was no, because at the end of the day, the new hardware is there not to do that. It's to make sure that it runs better with the Brain in the Box. Capital ships. My takeout of this, it's quite a big section as well. And my takeout of this was one tiny little line. At the very end, the topic of the Rorqual was brought up. CCP Fozzie showcased one of the new drone miners for the Rorqual. He also revealed that the Rorqual will likely get a new invulnerability button for itself and its fleet, which locks them into place so that a defense fleet can get there to help.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is kind of one of the first times that we're seeing some real commentary on the Rorqual, right? Because in all of the talk about capital rebalancing, it has really been about combat capitals. It has really been about super capitals. It has really been about fighters and what the differences between carriers are going to be and things like that. And somewhere along the line, no matter where it's ever discussed, somebody goes, "What about the Rorqual
or the Orca?"
But again, and this was something that I believe was first referenced back at Vegas, I think.
Yeah.
The comment that there were certain things that they want to do with the Rorqual. They didn't have the details yet, but they wanted it to be able to mine quite a bit. They wanted it to be able to defend itself better, and something support the fleet.
Yeah.
Now, the big thing out of that, because, yes, all right, fine, defend itself better, obviously, right? Support the fleet is something that it was always sort of, meant to do. But this idea of it mining for itself was new. Whether or not it's something that, will be worthwhile to do. Something tells me it probably will be, but, whether or not you can risk that out there by doing it.
Nosy Gamer says, I still want an Industrial Command Destroyer. Well, that was mentioned in there, the possibility as well.
Yes. Industrial Command Destroyer is something that is mentioned somewhere in here, and I forget where.
It was mentioned in the capital. I think that was in the ship balancing. That's where it was. Is there anything else on capitals? Because they did talk about a lot of the Titan DDs and the new. Steve asked about the Shield Dancer's armor cap signature radius to make sure they take full damage. CCP replied they already have increased damage. Increased signature radius on all capital ships to allow more room to tune signature resolution numbers for weapons, with ships regard to capitals and subcapital balance. They talked about the new fighters and that because the CCP went in and looked at it, and this was later on in the... Was it in this one?
Yeah,
it was in this one.
Well, I mean, here they talk about the fact that they went and demoed some of that action.
Yeah.
First during the meeting, I guess Lyrican showed them on screen or whatever, but then later on they did go and fly some super capitals, and got their hands on some of the new fighter capabilities and things like that. Yeah. I mean, there's some minutia in here about launching and recalling and load.
Yeah.
Chance asked if you can add skins to fighters. Look, I know everybody out there likes skins and they think they're quite pretty. Okay, I'm one of those people who it's like I'm not zoomed in enough to see them on small ships. You sure as hell aren't zoomed in enough to see them on fighters.
Definitely not. But
what if they just told you there was a skin on it?
You paid for it and there was a skin on it and it said, hey, there's a skin on it, and it changes the name of the fighter just on your screen to Skinned Fighter.
Yeah, there you go. That would be a nice troll.
Yeah. Mintong just linked compression array info. Today's raw call. Yeah, pretty much that's what it is. It's compression array. Kerbals in them fighters, please. No. Keep Jeb out. We want to keep Jeb alive. Next thing is nullsec, or the next section was art. I skipped over art because I skipped over art.
I do want to hold on a second. I do want to bring up something. CCP also further explained that carriers can only use a limited number of each type of squadron at once. Gorski asked how well the fighters would attack subcaps, okay? Which has always been something about fighters, okay? That, maybe against battleships they're okay, but man, you really got to do a lot to get them against anything else, right? CCP replied that it depends on the type of squadron. With standard light fighters, the equivalent of current fighters would be the best option and will be about as effective as they are now. So I don't know what that means about the effectiveness of, if you're in a carrier deploying fighters and, little stuff smaller than a battleship comes up on you, what that means.
But then again,
there was something. But the other thing about squadrons, right? Okay, so like if you're out there right now and you're shooting somebody's fighters, okay, you shot somebody's fighters, in your mind that they just lost 20 million ISK for losing that fighter, right?
Yeah.
No kill. Do you get credit for? All right. However, if you kill off a whole squadron under the new scenario, you're apparently going to be getting a kill for that.
Yes.
So that's kind of, you got to kill off the whole squadron, which is like, whatever it is, 5 or whatever. 3 or 5, or I can't remember now. But at least you're going to be getting a kill mail for that. I mean, at least you'll be getting credit for, having killed that off. Because, remember, defanging the beast, and that's, always been something, about carriers and super carriers is, right? I mean, yeah, you could try and kill it, but you can also defang it so that it can't, which is one of the few things. Drones are the only weapon system out there, fighters, that you can actually take away the other guy's, weapon system.
Yeah.
Literally take it away.
Exactly. Freelancer has had a few hours of sunshine and packed with vitamins. Yeah, I know what those vitamins are. Whatever. Right. Again, art I skipped over purely because it was like, it's art do their thing.
Yeah. Hey guys, there's a section on art out there. So if you're big into art, in terms of things, people ask questions about the art.
Project Discovery, I skipped over that as well because it's a game with a purpose. It's a game inside a game and a game with a purpose. Basically, if you've not know what Project Discovery is, go watch this previous week's 07 show. You'll find about everything in there. It's basically about distributed computing, kind of like the SETI project.
SETI at home back in the day?
Yeah, that sort of stuff, yeah.
This is a little different, right? Because SETI at home was basically tapping the resources of your computer. This is tapping the resources of you. And yes, absolutely watch the 07 show for more information about it. But that article that I referenced on Crossing Zebras by Labat Kong also goes into, wow, how this could be a thing on a much broader scale. Yeah. So I'm definitely
going to do some stuff on Project Discovery because I did like it, and the fact that you can earn some LP and some ISK for it, which is great, and you're actually helping people. You're actually helping people in real life. You may not know, but you're helping people. They go through that. Nullsec and sovereignty.
Maybe you're helping them.
Maybe
really what you're doing is working for a cabal who's going to weaponize the information.
You skipped art to cover nullsec. Come on, we all know nullsec is stagnant.
Oh yeah, Cypher, did you see that link? And Dirk, did you see the last link I put in TeamSpeak? Should I share that?
Yes.
Should I share that? Because that's from the EVE Online subreddit.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
I found it hysterical. I don't know how Rothana Haldane's going to find it because I put it in Amok Jabber.
Really?
Yeah. That is actually pretty funny.
Yeah. So poor form CCP. If you didn't know what it is, it will not be linked in the show notes. You have to go find it on Reddit.
You know what's funny? And then they give a cease and desist order to players who put swastikas in their passes, but yet they do this.
And Avalon,
You
we
know.
already touched on the what's it called? The blah 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 blah. My thing, what's it called? We already touched on the Evilopedia.
Come on, spit it out.
That's it, Evilopedia. Can you just PM me? Because I have to step out shortly, so just checking you guys talking about the Evilopedia before I popped in, or do I need to tinfoil up when you guys get to the web section? No, you don't need to tinfoil up, but you do need. I do need to share that picture of you in tinfoil. There we go.
Oh, please.
There it is. I'm going to share it here. Share it everywhere. Share the picture of the tinfoil. Avalon in tinfoil. Oh, that's poor taste. Yes, it is, but CCP, that's what it is. Anyway. No, we already talked about the Evilopedia. Rip Evilopedia. Rip, rip, rip. Nullsec. Corbex asked why people should want to have sovereignty.
You know what? I flipped the. I just flipped my hard copy page here, and my eyes immediately went to that sentence.
Yep.
And I'm going to say that to some extent, you could maybe sum up the entire nullsec and sovereignty
in that one
discussion
line.
with that one line. Corbex asked why people should want to have sovereignty.
And then hold on.
Corbex has got a good point.
All right. Corbex said that. And then Sort pointed out it takes 2.5 half hours in a recent fight to take space that was undefended. Done!
Which I'm going to be honest, took a hell of a lot longer under the Dominion sovereignty system. By the time you put down SBUs, by the time you put down SBUs under the old system, it took 3 hours, and then of course you had to reinforce stuff and wait out days, and I don't know. Maybe 2.5 hours is just fine. I don't know. But the bigger thing is, again, to me, I believe, it's not about the mechanic. It's not necessarily about whether it should be an hour and a half or 2.5 hours or 5.5 hours or multiple days or whatever. It's about why do you want to embark on it to begin with.
Yeah.
Why do I want to take your sovereignty? Why would you want to attack mine? Why?
Yeah, exactly. Make it worth it. And the people, by the way, Opus Magnum, you're in the wrong one. That's the wrong chat channel. Check my bio and then click the right chat channel, which I'll just link into there. There we go. Because there is 2 Eve Radio channels. There's Eve-Radio in-game and there's Eve-Radio in-game. The right Eve Radio channel is under the media browser. You'll under the channel browser, aside from we said, it's there. It says media. Join that one. If you just type in Eve Radio without a space in it, it does something wrong. I don't know why. I still have to get CCP to give me the ownership of that other channel and then delete it.
Noisy in the Twitch channel says, is the mentality that taking something in 2.5 hours now similar to the one that wants skill trading? They don't want to wait. Nobody ever wants to wait, especially if the other side isn't defending. But to some extent, there needs to be some sort of time hurdle in there, because the reason why somebody might not be defending, is because they are just so massively outclassed. There's just no other option. Okay, so having it be, but do you want to go through this? Do you want to put in some minimum amount of time, whatever that minimum is? I'm not saying, again, it's right that it's 10 seconds and it's right that it's 12 days. But whatever that minimum is, are you willing to put in the effort to do it? You may sit there and go, well, no, I'm not, because what I'm going to get out of it isn't anything. It's not worth it. Yeah. So there is just kind of that speed bump, if you want to call it.
There was something as well in there that did say that, it says...
But everybody always wants things to be quicker.
Oh,
because,
definitely.
Nobody wants to wait for anything.
Definitely. Cypher, you're keying up, or you were.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Fat, heavy fingers.
That's right. The problem with non-intosing pilots in the fleet feeling that they're not making an impact was discussed, and there was a section in there, which I'm just trying to find, that did say about maybe the potential of pilots that could help you in Tosis more. So you help and it brings the timer down. They were talking about it, I think.
Yeah, I think that this is going to continue to be a work in progress. The different mechanics involved with it. Whether it be how long each of these things take, whether or not you can get support from somebody else, whether or not a whole bunch of different things. I think that they've got I think that they've got a framework in place that allows them to kind of be additive and take away in small steps.
Yeah.
But again, I really do believe that it comes back to why, because we have for years done that which is perhaps a terrible mechanic, that perhaps which is boring. We've done it because that's what you had to do to get the job done.
Exactly.
The bigger question right now is people are sitting there going, but is it worth doing the job in the first place?
Exactly. Is it worth doing that, or should we just live in nullsec, NPC nullsec, and just gank when we want to gank?
We'll use terrible mechanics to get something done, and we'll make the best of it as best we can. It's just a matter of, I guess we gotta have a reason for it.
Team Astro Sparkle. Sugar Carl asked if there was a better way for CCP to share information inside the game. CCP Loki showed that they were doing some revamps of the in-game billboard and showed off a video. Falcon also explained that CCP was adding in-game messaging so we can directly inform all players. Oh my god, communication! They're going to use the in-game billboards for something, they're going to communicate things, and actually push the button to send messages to people.
Yeah, because everybody reads those billboards because they're everywhere.
They're so big that you can, it's like, yeah. At one point, they had the idea of putting billboards or something like that on stations, which I actually thought was a good idea because at that point you are actually close enough. But where a lot of these billboards are, they're kind of off in the distance and not entirely visible. I guess unless you
click on
them. Well, unless you click on them or whatever. Yeah.
Mini Tong in the in-game chat says in-game streaming radio never going to happen because we know the browser's going away and that's the only way you can get it. Remember that.
Yep.
Rip browser. Was there anything else in Team Astro Sparkle you wanted to touch on, Dirk, at all?
No, I mean, look, they talk a lot about events in here.
Yeah.
That for those people who are interested in things, and participate in things like Crimson Harvest and Operation Frostline, and whatnot. It looks like that they're trying to add more of these types of things along the way. Something around Easter, I guess. I don't want to bring up this crazy Gereaster theme or whatever, but
that was the room. That was just emulating the room there.
Yeah, exactly. There is something to be said about the bunny rabbit ears and whatnot. So there you go.
Yes. No. So that's that one. The next section was ship balance.
There was one. At the end of that, Chance brought up doing something to help send off dust when it's shut down. CCP Orca also asked about tying something into Valkyrie. Okay, so those aren't... something to help send off dust.
Yeah.
Just flush the toilet.
I think they did a pretty good job of sending off dust with the Rouge wedding.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. I mean, we could send it to Flint. Probably has less lead.
Dear, oh dear.
Ship balance.
Gorski Car asking about
there's a bunch of little
links?
tidbits. Yeah. Yeah. Fozzie replied that the view hadn't changed. The system is still being built in a way to change the way links work. At some point, off-grid links are going to be going away.
Yes,
right?
they are.
I mean, that's pretty clear. How they go away and what they're replaced with is still, it's still not clear to those of us on the outside.
On-grid links.
On grid, whether or not they are area of effect. Yeah, I mean, those are all things that.
They're still working on it. They're still working on finding out what's going to happen. They're going to have to. They're going to have to do that. They're going to have to work on that.
They've got to see if the old code is going to accept the new code and all that crap.
Just freelancer. Just to go to your comment, you said 34.5k online at the moment in EVE Online. I've just loaded up my Second Life client because yes, I actually play Second Life a little bit with a girlfriend. There is currently 46,159 people in world in Second Life. And remember, Second Life is exactly the same as EVE. It's a single shard.
Oh,
single shard.
But
yeah.
Now, did you mention the command destroyer version of the industrial ship?
Well, I didn't.
We
from
glanced over
this,
it, and that's about as fast as it went.
Yeah, CCP Terminus has been. Did you read this?
Working on the idea of a command destroyer version of an industrial ship to accommodate mining/expedition frigates. It would be a mini Orca combined with the command destroyer's micro jump field generator capabilities. The idea is it would help the roaming frigate mining fleets, such as those going into wormhole space, and be a low barrier introduction to the Orca support gameplay.
So you're going to park this on a belt. Baddies are going to come in, and you're going to microwave drive your fleet, your mining fleet, and the baddies.
Yeah,
100K. Well, hopefully,
so
not
that
the
you
baddies.
don't die.
I mean, you probably don't want to do that either. But
exactly.
Maybe it's to micro jump your fleet kind of away so that they have a moment to escape or something like that. But I don't know.
There's potential of that happening. And again, all of that stuff could happen. It's still. This is what we need the CSM for, so they can talk to CCP about this potential stuff. Because if not, CCP is just going to go batshit crazy and implement every single idea they want. So,
well, no, I mean, these are.
Yeah, I know.
Although that's CCP Terminus saying that they've been working on the idea.
Yes.
So it's this isn't some rando CSM going, hey, what do you guys think about a mini Orca with command destroyer capabilities?
I know, Noisy. I've already got max skills for the Orca, and I've got max skills for the Rorqual. This is what it is. And I don't even own a Rorqual anymore. Andy asked if the change to hull resistance was done as a move by CCP to reduce the ability to suicide gank. CCP responded that it was more of a case of being a side effect of the damage control changes. They looked for special cases which might need to adjust, and in the case of freighters, they believed that the changes were acceptable. Andy asserted that the number of ships now required to gank freighter meant that jump freighters were effectively invulnerable with the change. CCP disagreed and said that they disagreed that they would be invulnerable. Steve pointed out that one big thing aside about suicide ganking is regard to freighters is bumping. Bumping mechanics were discussed with the CSM, and CCP said they have been given the area some thought. That's the point I put it for there. They're thinking actually about bumping, which means they might actually think that you cannot take this tiny little frigate and go, oh, it's like this. I'm a tiny little frigate. Here's a tiny little frigate. Bomb Titan.
I don't know. I think that I don't think that they're just talking about the mechanics of how things get bumped, right? That potentially a frigate can bump something as big as a Titan or a freighter or something like that. I think that they're talking about the idea of bumping mechanics in general. This idea of bumping freighters off gates, whether it be with a tiny little frigate or whether it be with a Macarial or whatever the heck it might be with. That maybe they're looking at it as it becomes some form of aggression or something along those lines, right?
Or maybe take damage.
Somebody doesn't have to just punch you in the face. If they come up and keep shoving you away from your buddies while you're at the roller rink, that's kind of aggressive.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, and by the way, if you heard a little bleep on the record or onto the YouTube/Twitch version, that was because I had a message in Slack. You wouldn't have heard it on the radio though. Anything else in balancing? Because I kind of only pulled 2 bits out of balancing.
You got the rolling yachts piece.
Yes, well that was news this week that Fozzie just basically said, yeah, yachts, we're sorting that out. In fact, he said that on the Jeff Rader show 2 weeks ago. They said, yeah, rolling yachts, we're just dealing with that. We're just going to deal with that.
Yeah. I mean, so that's something that they were looking at, this idea of pulling the effects of Higgs anchor rigs on that specific ship, because of what they're doing to. I guess it's this idea, and geez, I'm really going to dumb this down just a little bit, but it's it's this idea that the cloaking plus the nullification. These ships are being used to roll wormholes maybe more easily than they would like.
Yeah.
So they're trying to find a way to not take away the main points of the ship, but obviously the yacht was not designed to be a wormhole roller.
No, never. But, creative use of game mechanics.
Eve players, it's so bad. There's a dichotomy, right? Eve players are really smart.
I'm probably going to steal a line from you, Dirk. Eve players are some of the smartest motherfuckers out there. They are.
No, they really are. I mean, some of these people that come up with this stuff, you know, where it's like, oh wow, hey, look at this. I've run the numbers, and I think that oh, look, a yacht would work nice.
Yes.
They got into a thing in this section also on Black Ops. For those of you who are interested in Black Ops, Sword Dragon brought up reducing Black Ops fatigue again. CCP Larrikin floated the idea where CCP would reduce the jump range to 5 light years like all capital ships, but massively reduce the amount of fatigue they accrue. You know, so there's discussion. There's discussion about that for those of you who are into the Black Ops thing. The other thing, and this made some hay out on Twitter. I think I'm the one that made the hay on this originally. I think I was the first one to ask Jane. Well, because what happened was I was in the middle of reading this, right? And literally as I was in the middle of reading this section, Jane Fillin, you know, put a tweet out going, "Hey, if you have any questions about the minutes, ask." So, you know, so I said, "Oh, look, here's this one where Jane brought up the topic of changing the minimum warp range from 150 kilometers to 250 kilometers." My initial thing on this, because that's kind of all it says. It says CCP Fozzie said that it's still something they're thinking about. CCP Fozzie asked if there was anyone that had any issues with that concept. The only issues brought up were some missions and existing bookmarks. What I wanted to know from Jane, which is why I threw the question out there, was what's behind this? Why would somebody where did it come from? What was the basis in saying, well, you know, should we change it from 150 to 250? It seemed kind of random. Now his response was something along the lines of with the increased grid sizes, it was just kind of a, you know, question of, well, should it be? Like, you know, kind of just this, I don't know, have we ever considered this kind of a thing? Some others out there, I think it was Doom Chinchilla from PL and Laz got involved. You know, Laz made a comment on the Meta Show about it yesterday as well, that you know, we could, you know, see this lead to more of a sniper meta in Eve. I've heard some people who are very much for this, you know, who think that it will, you know, stop this bouncing around that goes on in trying to gain field position, you know, in battles. I don't think that it will. I mean, if you're sitting, it won't allow you to go from here to landing 20 to 30 kilometers on a sniper fleet in one shot, right? But you're still going to bounce. You're not going to sit there and absorb damage from these snipers, or, you know, without bouncing. Okay, I mean, you're going to try and get after those snipers as best you can, or those slippery Petes as best you can, if anybody's still using those things out there. And I just worry about this. You know, the other thing that it does is, for all of you out there who have created bookmarks, perches and pings off of gates and other celestials and things like that, and you made them at, let's say, I don't know, 170 kilometers because you just wanted to make sure you were past the 150 barrier and things like that, right? All of those then become useless, and all of those bookmarks you would need to, you know, do something about, you know, which is it's a headache, but if there's a good purpose behind it, then so be it.
Well, the thing is with that, if you look at that, that's a lot of bookmarks in the database that are just going to be useless, and they're still going to be sat there until somebody goes and deletes them. And CCP won't just go and delete them.
No, well, I mean, for those who for those who want them and need them, you know, I guess they will over time burn out a little further. I know I have quite a few of these things because, you know, in various routes in nullsec, you know, over the years, right? Hey, there's somebody in this system. Is there a bubble on that gate? I don't know. Let me warp to a perch and find out.
Exactly, that's what you do.
Well, it's just part of scouting, right? But yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of these bookmarks out there that people would need to change. If there's a good reason behind this, great. I definitely want to hear from more of the FCs who are engaged with the kind of mobile combat that goes on out there, as to whether or not this is relevant, way more than obviously the bookmark thing.
Wormholes. I skipped that in my settings. The reason being is because wormholes to me is like, okay, and They said about the yacht rolling, which we've touched on.
Yeah, they talk about Citadel related stuff in here, which I think for people who are living in wormholes, is obviously
Clone services,
important,
that sort of stuff.
Important to get to. Corbix brought up the topic of citadels and shattered wormholes. CCP's answer was they would not be allowed. Gorski brought up the same question for Thera. Some people appear to be opposed to the idea. There was no decision reached in the session, and CCP will look further into this matter. I know somewhere in here, just from recollection, there's stuff related to citadels in wormholes, medical cloning facilities. Yes, they will be able to install clones, but that's only so that you can swap out of the clone that you're in.
Yeah.
Not so that if you are someplace else and die, you can like pod yourself back to
Pod yourself back to that wormhole.
Your wormhole.
Yeah. Which makes it, because there's no fluid routers to get you
Correct.
there. That's that. And remember, going into the lore and everything, that's how cloning works through the fluid routers in the game. It's not space magic. As much as you want it to be, it's not space magic.
But for people who are interested in wormholes, which I know that there are a lot out there, and it is a significant gameplay thing of this game. It's not something that I am versed in any way. So it would just kind of be reading, reading to you.
It was the same with me, really. We're still gonna carry on. We've got about 20 minutes left of the talk bed, but we're gonna keep pushing through. If you're wondering where the music is in This Week in New Eden, it's there. We might get a few songs in before the end of the show. But no, thank you for sticking with us for the 2 hours so far. God, it's been 2 hours.
Although in
really?
the wormhole section, I did find this to be a little bit amusing. Okay? Yeah. There was also some. This is the last paragraph. There was also some discussion regarding how mobile tractor units have removed the need for the Noctis for looting Rex. That poor Noctis. That Noctis got put into the game. Everybody said, "Oh God, this damn Noctis is so good," and they trained up their Noctis pilots, and they had their Noctis all out there helping them and all that kind of stuff. And then they came out with
the
mobile
MTU
tractor units, and the Noctis said,
Noctis.
"But what about me?"
Well, that's kind of like the old destroyers, isn't it? I've still got somewhere in HiSec. I've got 2 or 3 destroyers with large rigs on them. Back in the day,
I've got
when salvage rigs, salvages. That's what it was.
I've got a Firetail with large.
Oh, I've got any ship
rigs
that could have on it. I've probably still got large rigs on stuff. It's just how it was. But
CCP stated that the demand for salvage with citadels should increase the value of salvaging and would hopefully encourage people to use them more, at least for salvaging wrecks.
Yeah,
I got to be honest. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
Next bit, customer service. As soon as I saw this, I just thought puking all over this. I thought, far from puking.
I thought the same thing. I saw this and said, hey.
Except for he wouldn't talk about this.
No, he would just sit there grinding, going,
No, he'd be looking at the pictures going, oh my God.
Right, now, I only pulled one section out of this, and it was the following.
Yes, it should be the primary section that people need to worry about with regard to customer support.
Customer support.
Or customer service.
Jane had a question regarding pornography being allowed in Fleet, Corporation and Alliance and private channels. GM Grave explained that while in the past they didn't police private channels, they now do. Even for softcore, you'll receive a warning, as there are some things that we need to police as our rating is teen.
Correct. Okay, so in the past, and I mean like the recent past, but going back a while, public things, local, things that would have been considered public channels. All right, local, obviously, Constellation, Alliance chat, okay, Corporation chat, even Fleet chat. Would be considered public, meaning that in order to play the game, if you are a part of one of these things, then that becomes automatic that you are a part of that channel, right? To where, look, if you posted porn in one of these places, you could be, getting a warning and or getting something more, more severe. So what it led to was a number of private channels out there that were dedicated to being a place for the conveyance of art and other things
Nicely said, Dirk.
A freedom of speech channel that allowed for artistic expression to reign supreme. However, it appears as though that's nothing. This is one of those ones that when I saw this, I just kind of laughed. Okay, I've seen my fair share of porn in this game, and I think I would much rather just be AFK ratting while surfing it through some other means. But some stuff's kind of funny. The softcore thing, okay, I thought was kind of interesting because now we get into this. Holy crap! This is like the IS Boxer debate. But what about this? But what about this? But what about that?
Hold on.
You're limiting my freedom of speech.
No, it's not pornography. It's not pornography. It's not pornography. It's artistic. It's expressing. It's expressing.
She's in a
natural
bikini.
art.
That's not softcore porn.
No,
well, we think
she may be naked, but I'm drawing her like one of my French girls.
How do you know what porn is? Well, we'll tell you when we see it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, which is like totally the discussion and argument out there regarding all this overlay stuff and IS Boxer and whatnot, right? Well, what about this? Well, what about this? Well, what about this? Well, you know what? Here's the EULA. You do what you think is right, and when we see something that we don't think is right, we'll let you know.
Exactly.
Now, here's a question though, because I think it was the understanding of most people out there that you had to be reported for this stuff. And the way I read this, would the GM Grave explain that while in the past they didn't police private channels, they now do. Does that mean that they will answer to reports of private channels, or are they policing it through technological means with some sort of skin sniffer?
I think it's probably a bit of both. Because remember, CCP can go into any channel they want in the game. As long as it's a dev account, they can go into any channel and they are an automatic moderator. They're a global moderator of every channel. They can do this. So right now, if the devs wanted to come in the Eve Radio channel right now, they could mute the channel. They could go into the settings, like people are seeing me right now do on the Twitch stream, and they could go into the settings and go into the allowed mode and go blocked or moderated. They could do that.
Right. No. I understand that they can. I understand that they can do that. Right. I guess my question is, if I post an Imgur link in there, okay, and let's say it's porn, okay, are they able to see it because they've got technology that is basically looking at the
They might be. I don't know.
Looking at what's beyond that link, like it actually goes out and checks it and sees what it is. Link.
Again,
or is it a matter of somebody else has to report it?
We don't know. I'm guessing it's probably a little from column A, a little from column B.
Well,
more focused on the reports.
Regardless of anything else, okay, whether or not they're actually checking it themselves or whether it continues to require a thing, okay. No, nowhere in any chat channel in EVE Online, okay. You're at risk if you if you try and if you post this stuff, and if you try and push the boundaries of because now they're saying softcore and who knows what that is. Is that like Cinemax or is that a girl in a bikini? Hey, you know what? I don't know, but remember, you risk what you risk by putting this stuff in there.
And by the way, freelancer Dirk is in the London office, but that shot, the London Eye is actually probably about a mile and a half.
Yep.
To the right. I know.
I am in the London office.
In fact, if you are in the London...
I'm in the Detroit office.
I'm just trying to think. If you're in the London office, where... You're in a slightly older London office, because I can't see behind you. I can't see the fucking... I know. No, literally, just in the middle of the shot, there should be what we now call the walkie-talkie, which is a building that's shaped like a walkie-talkie.
Yeah, this may be an old picture.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Anyway. Anything more on customer service? Should we move on?
No, I think we can. We've covered porn, so I think that...
Okay, we covered porn. Porn's good enough. I skipped to the next section, introducing CCP Dinebola.
I made a comment the other day. Okay, so as I was going through this, I was throwing out some comments on Twitter.
Yeah.
And some of them were completely, oh, hey, shit, look at this. Okay, one of them being the porn thing, because I think that is something that some people out there who post porn need to know about. I made a little bit of a joke about this. In reading this right here, I have never read a CCP dev blog. I have never read a communication from CCP, okay? Words from them or heard them or anything. Use the terms feelings and emotions more than in this right here, okay? And I was kind of joking about that, all right? But really this comes down to, this is the new Chief Customer Officer, okay?
Yeah.
it deals a lot with marketing, and it deals a lot with a whole bunch of things that in this day and age they know how to tap into some things. I could have put out something out there about, oh look, this is how we're we're looking at the social engineering aspects of how we can get you to feel better emotionally about the game, so therefore you'll put more money into it and we can monetize your emotions. But I was more joking about the fact that feelings, nothing more than feelings. Look, we all feel something for this game, right? Okay, feelings and emotions for this game run pretty freaking heavy. Okay, whether it be tears, whether it be anger, whether it be joy, whether it be all these things, right? But really, what they're getting at here is how you feel about the game emotionally and what ties you to it and things like that. And quite honestly, how they can better leverage that as a company.
Exactly.
Nothing wrong with that. Every company out there is looking to find how it can, make the game better for you, but also produce the product that they are in such a way that they can, do whatever. So,
Next section.
But welcome to the Chief Emotion Officer.
Yeah, Chief Emotion Officer. I skipped the next couple of sections. I skipped LowSec and I skipped Web Team and Structures.
That was a really, and by the way, just so everybody knows, okay, out of the 79 pages, okay, of this thing, that section on the Chief Emotion Officer, is long.
Yeah, I actually skipped.
Wiggles, you just broke Avalon's heart because you skipped the Web Team.
No, I skipped the Web Team because for the show. Yes, there's a lot of stuff in there, and I can talk about stuff on the web backside and all this and all that. But the point being is, right, the web section was only a page. It wasn't even a full page. If you take out the people who are there, it's just about 3/4 of a page. It's about forums and stuff like
Avalon
that.
was in attendance there.
Yeah, and he did say that
he spoke during it.
He spoke 3 times at least in this. So again, is there anything that you want to bring in from LowSec?
Well, I mean, look, I don't want to skip over it from the standpoint of obviously LowSec is an important part of the current EVE gameplay meta, right? Those people who live in LowSec and operate in LowSec, it was not an overlooked subject matter within this. Sugar Kyle was quite active in it. Other CSM were quite active, in the discussion. They definitely went through a bunch of feedback. I think as much related to faction warfare as anything else, because there are certain tweaks there. Certainly the concept. Sugar asked about allowing faction warfare participants to shoot each other freely in nullsec and wormhole space without losing faction standings. I don't even know how this is still a thing. I don't know how She said there was a dissonance between the lawless idea of nullsec and the idea of the factions keeping them bound by the rules of the faction warfare zone. I don't know. Maybe it's a faction warfare honor thing. I don't know. But
what it might, I can tell you what it is. It might be eat honor in faction warfare. What it physically is something encoding in Crime Watch that's just a flag somewhere.
That's exactly. It has to do with, I believe, that tie-in with Crime Watch.
Yeah.
But what I don't know. They're absolutely correct. Faction warfare people should be able to shoot whoever the hell it is in nullsec and not be penalized in any way regarding standings. Same thing with wormholes.
Exactly. So, right. As I said, this is because most people consider LowSec to be AIDS? Question mark? I don't think so. LowSec's just LowSec. That's how it is.
And to say most people now, I don't know. I mean, again, there has been so much that has shifted in this game because of major changes out in nullsec and things like that. LowSec seems to be this hub of activity. Not necessarily LowSec everywhere, but certainly that Kaldari faction warfare area, northeastern, LowSec, where null comes into it, and basing out of LowSec, and LowSec is quite the thing these days, and that is a major shift that has taken place over the course of the last couple of years, with the game, and there's a lot of ramifications to that.
So yeah, low sec. Again, I skipped over web team. Sorry,
Skill
Avalon.
training is
And
destroyed
thank
and
you
you
to
died.
Bodhi Bodial, who's now following the Eve Radio channel. Thanks for following, letting us let you know when we go on. Thank you very much.
Structures?
I skipped that, but
How do you skip structures? It's like we're in the time of structures now.
I know
It's like-
we're in the time of structures, but everything that's been talked about has kind of been out there and been discussed about, like, you know, the deploying of the wormhole of the citadels of the mediums from possibly an Orca, you know, in the C1 and the C2s, because you can't get a freighter in there, you know, or you've got to build the freighter and this and that for a large. And CCP responded that you'll just need an Orca for a large and a freighter for an extra large, but you need to be able to build them in the starbase. So
yeah. I mean, there's definitely some. Well, I mean, Sugar opened by asking about markets in medium structures. Ytterbium countered by going into a bit of a summary. He said that their main concern is making sure the feature is as polished as possible. Anyways, it does not look as though markets are going to be allowed in the medium structures. And I don't know if it's in this section. It probably is in this section, but they basically want to promote the building of these larger structures. They're just not going to let you throw up a market in some medium.
Exactly.
They want you to build something bigger, and you know, if you want to have a market, you're going to have to invest a little more capital into that. They don't want you just having a tent out there.
Yeah, CM asking about the market made of medium citadels. Replied, not easy case to provide. Not easy as the case, as they need to provide some incentive to build the larger citadels. CSM countered that this is more about the wormhole groups in the C1 and C2. CCP added that they're looking at a direct trade function that you can select items and then send them into deliveries for individuals or corporations to allow people to send stuff to each other when they are not online. And then they brought up the information about thing. They talked of market taxes, thinking they're increasing of the NPC taxes and NPC stations by increasing the broker's fee on all NPC stations to 5%. Citadel owners with a market can set their own broker tax rate, and this is the broker's tax will go to the Citadel owner. Transaction tax at this time would increase to 2.5%. So again, it's all about. This is the thing. When people have said before, and I've said, you know, I've been a big, massive proponent of the CSM. They're there for these discussions so they can talk about it. And yes, freelancer, wormholes stabilize the surface for surface modules. Yes, we know that got leaked apparently at Dublin yesterday. Drunk, CCP is drunk. Go home, CCP, you're drunk. Maybe. I don't know.
No, stay.
No.
Stay, CCP, you're drunk.
All right. CCP,
Have another drink.
Have another drink.
You know what? Who knows? I mean, look, I don't want to sit there and say that had anything to do with being drunk, right? I mean, you know, maybe it was just out and he said it. Look,
Oops.
if CCP leaks it, it's not a leak.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay? It's said. Now, who knows? Maybe he gets a talking to when he gets back, or or whatever. But sometimes at these events, information does come out, and I don't know. Hopefully, here's one of those occasions, and when we talked about it last week, right? Because we talked about when something is even officially presented at one of these player gatherings, should it be then followed up on as soon as possible by some sort of official communication? And this is one of those ones where maybe it was unintended, but if it is out there now and was kind of remarked to, maybe there needs to be some sort of official statement regarding it for the rest of everybody who didn't have a Guinness in their hand at Eve Dublin.
What? No Guinness in your hand? Isn't that, like, outlawed?
Well, I'm just saying, for those people who were not at Eve Dublin, yeah. But yeah, so it's a big section on structures. Obviously, structures are a huge thing right now. We've got the Citadel expansion that's coming sometime soon, TEM, early spring, sometime spring, probably before FanFest, maybe. But, there's a bunch of moving parts that are still associated with this, including, because remember, the Citadel expansion also includes the complete capital changes, the complete capital changes, which also includes the fighters and all that kind of stuff. And one will not be released without the other. Therefore, it all is waiting on both sides, the structures side as well as the capital side.
Mm-hmm.
Eve Launcher? Did we have anything about the Eve Launcher?
Well, we haven't had anything about it apart from the fact that, rip, as we said in the show, rip XP users because, well, the launch is changing this month. Actually, it's March, isn't it? Wait, is that when it's changing, I think?
Well, that's Tuesday. That starts next Tuesday.
Yo.
Is it this Tuesday?
By the way, today is not the last day of February.
No,
Everybody
tomorrow is.
aware of
No,
that? That's right.
Monday
That's
is.
right. This is a special year.
This is a leap year. This is the year
Special.
where women can actually propose to men.
Really?
What?
Is that how it works?
Yeah. Well,
So every
well,
4 years?
no, it's meant to be on the leap years they can only propose, even though, you know, just how
Is
it
this
is.
law?
It's not law, but you know.
So every year that the Olympics
Hey.
are held, or the Summer Olympics are held.
Kind of.
Well, you know, they want all the women live. Why can't they just propose to us? It'd be so much easier. It'd take all the guessing.
Like we want to take the initiative to do that, right? And we're lazy. If they want to propose,
Exactly.
please do.
I'm just looking
Quotes,
back for the Eve
effort.
launcher. I'm looking back for it. You know, I'm just have a look back on Total Eve. I was actually looking back on the new Eden update because I'm sure I talked about it, but I know it will be in a dev news post.
Okay, and I just want to go back here. Akulo on the Twitch stream said,
Yep.
CCP Nullarbor on Reddit said, just one of 100 other ideas we have had for new structure capabilities, most definitely not coming in Citadel.
Interesting.
So there you go. Sometimes devs can riff about ideas, and once again, none of these things, not a one. I can tell you right now, this whole thing that they've talked about with fighters and everything, who knows? Maybe they zilch it tomorrow.
Yeah.
We ran into a difficulty that we just couldn't overcome, and guess what? We're not going down that path. So, I mean, even though they've talked about things a lot or a little, it's not out until it's out.
June 30th, that's the date. June 30th, 2016 would discontinue support for the old Eve launcher, which will also bring the end of Windows XP and Vista support to an end. The reason this wasn't in a dev blog is because this was in a discussion post. It was a news post that Falcon put up, and it was a news post and also a discussion post. And I was looking through community news, and it's the minimum OS change requirements. That's what it is. So when it will be now to Windows 7 is the minimum OS to use, that's when the launcher changes. So you have 4 months until we remove the old Eve launcher. So that's the only thing I would have touched on it. And again, this was only announced recently, and it wasn't kind of in the minutes. So Mac client, Mac launcher, yeah, they know there's a thing with it, and just how it is. There's a lot of problems with Mac computers nowadays. Newer Macs have the Intel integrated graphics. They don't have the discrete old graphics like you had with the Nvidias or the ATIs. So it's harder to program for stuff like that. So if you look at a game like what's it called, Overwatch, the new Blizzard first shooter, that's not coming out on Mac initially because they can't code for it. So
Team size matters.
yep.
I swear to God, it's like some of these team names. Some of them are funny. Other ones, it's like, okay, and what does that team do?
Yep. Team size.
Yeah.
It seems to be introduced by introducing the team and what they've been working on, and the request to work on opportunities. But the team stated the opportunities features belong to another team. Oh,
Yeah. Oh, yep, not ours.
exactly.
Would that be the opportunities team? No, they're called something else. They're like Twilight Dragon or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's hear. CCP shared a story from another player where they took a fleet out of new players, out, and they were now flying some ships they weren't previously able to, and they were really happy and enjoying them. Chance talked about how his group instituted a rule where people were not allowed to talk about injectors due to some people getting upset over others talking about having them so much. Okay. CCP stated that they're carefully watching to see what the longer-term effects of skill trading are. CCP asked how many people have alts that are optimal and are now just looking to train on them and extract the skill points. Most CSM members responded that they do have at least a few. So again, look, the skill point trading thing is out there. It's not to say that it can't be modified, tweaked, deleted, or enhanced at some point. But they are watching it.
Yeah. I'm just watching.
Here. This is kind of interesting. Sugar asked about having a skill point pool that when you're not training a skill, the skill points can go into. That's been something that has been discussed, I know, on a number of occasions. This idea of I don't want to necessarily train for a specific skill, but I just want to train into a pool. The problem with that, I think, okay, The problem with that is you get into this whole thing of attributes and your attribute mapping, and what are you training for? Let's say you're mapped all perception and the rest willpower, right? Well, you're going to train things like gunnery and ship skills and things like that much faster than you are going to train, say, fighters or drones or navigation
skills
or anything that takes intelligence memory as being the proper remap, right? So how would you create this pool of skill? At what rate would you be training? As long as attributes come into play with the rate at which you're training, I don't know that they can do it to this, going straight to a pool. Mike also asked about being able to remove level 0 skills. So if you go in there and you extract your skill points and get down to level 0, can you extract it? CCP said they have not done so due to the extra load this would likely place on customer support from people removing the wrong skill. They added that there have been cases where people have even used extractors thinking they were injectors.
Ooh.
Ouch.
Oh dear, oh dear.
But yeah, anyways.
Nerd,
I'm just
be careful with your injectors.
I'm just going to quickly go on to a tech topic. Philip Oliver Holtz in game. How do you turn off the monitoring program not shown in the task monitor? Right. Yes, a lot of stuff.
How do you what? You mumbled the living shit out of it.
I know. There was discussion about Windows 10 in game, and he does want to use Windows because this. And I was like, you know what? Yes, Windows 10 monitors you. Yes, you can turn all that shit off. Yes, it will still report back to Microsoft if there's a problem. Why? Because they want to know how to fix that problem with a driver. Simple. If you don't like it, don't use it. Again, you can use Linux if you want. But as I did say, welcome to a world of near enough unsupported gaming, because most people will write on Windows because for DirectX 12 and Mantle and stuff like that. Simple. End of. Done. Moving on. Yeah, the team suspects. He goes. Mike brought up that the MPE needs to teach players more about the skill queue and injectors and implants. CC will brought up a separate topic where drones won't auto-aggress NPCs anymore. Steve brought up that jamming NPCs might be a problem. And that's damn right. Because if you're jammed and if you've got drones out and you get jammed, those drones that you've got out will eventually aggress the ones that are jammed. But if you put fresh drones out, they won't.
The last paragraph in that section. CCP then asked what type of alts people think are the most common. The CSM's responses were varied. I mean, that's like asking a question, what type of people play EVE? I mean, because it all depends on the playstyle and at any given point in time in this game, right? I mean, at one point, maybe it was, mining alts and hauler alts and things like that, right? And oh my God.
Sino alts.
Depending on what people are doing, they have
Everybody's
alts that either complement that or give them a different option. It's crazy. I mean, it used to be at a time when, Sino alts. But a lot of those have been converted to other things because, jump drives and shit.
Rip jump drives. Eve Brand is the next one. I had a little bit about this because I thought, Brand, this will be good. Kigali added that Eve community drama in general would cause a lot of people to leave the game. CCP Denola then asked what CCP could do to help fix these problems. I wanted to put a full stop there and go, stroke my chin, stroke my beard, think about it for a second. Jane responded that CCP should remake corporations, alliances, and social groups and fix Wardex. Oh, just a small thing then, really. Just a small thing, Jane. I mean, really.
They had they had this section in here. They actually had a team exercise in this. Or they actually had an exercise. The first exercise was to think about if Eve was a car.
Yep.
What car would it be?
Love this.
CCP was aware how silly the question was and added that the exercise was meant as a warm-up.
Mike, DeLorean. Andy, DeLorean. Good looking and advanced engineering for its time, but those design decisions, aluminum or aluminium, limited now, and are liable to kill the owner. Corbex, a Triumph Stag, looks great and needs a new engine. CCP Guard. Tesla, doing things that others haven't done. Jane, a Land Rover. Not well known or liked, but does really real thing. The Land Rover is really well known, actually. It's a pivot. I don't know what he's talking about there. Chance Ravine, Nissan 300ZX. You can do a lot with it and it's rewarding, but people don't understand it. Gorski, a project car that needs a lot of love. Greatly enjoyable. Steve, the Homer from The Simpsons. It's a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and it has a depth that people don't usually bring together. Falcon, a 1996 Skyline R34 GTR V2. In their time, top of the line, but is now a niche car with respect from a cult following. And the best one, CCP Manifest, the Monte Carlo from Training Day. It's a custom build and excludes confidence, and it's something you fly in the most dangerous neighborhoods.
But my Twitter response to this was nobody said a Winnebago. So basically, what you guys refer to over there.
I know a Winnebago.
Yeah. And somebody's like, well, why? And I'm like, well, because basically you can live in it. It's kind of a community vehicle, and with all that's going on inside, it takes a lot of upkeep to keep that thing, in tip-top shape. The only thing I had against the number of responses here that positioned it as some sort of a sports car, okay, was I don't know that Eve was ever considered a high-performance sports car type thing. It's a highly complicated piece of machinery. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
But
It's like
I
the
don't
Ford
know that it
Pinto.
was ever
It's
even
bound
in
to
the,
explode.
I don't know that it was ever in its glory day a sports car of a video game.
Well, I also think Sapporo Jones will not approve because Subaru was not mentioned in that topic. And if you didn't know, Sapporo Jones is running for CSM and he's from Test Alliance. They are recruiting Subaru, the car for life. He said that on so many
The
podcasts.
official car of Test Alliance.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, by the way, just a reminder. Yeah, voting for the CSM starts tomorrow. So make sure you vote. Just do it. Just fucking go and do it.
Don't tell me what to do.
Another section.
You're not my
here is-
overlord.
CCP Denabula then asked what the most important things about Eve are. What's the core of it? Everyone then started writing their thoughts on Post-it notes, and they were sorted on the whiteboard. Some of the areas were community and helping. We all know that community is this big giant thing in Eve, and I'm not making light of that, but we all know that it has reached a level right now that is unseen in the game in the past. The longevity of the game, space was an original pull, but not something that retains. Permanence, consequences, history. Those are three that really kind of struck me. Discovery, the complexity and potential, and purpose and responsibility. These are all really good answers, and it just shows you just how deep kind of is, right? How deep Eve is. But again, permanence, consequences. I think that is something that really sets Eve apart from so many other things. Is that your decisions have consequences. What your actions have consequences.
Exactly.
In more ways than one.
Exactly. In more ways than one. What else? Delete that tweet. There we go. I don't think there's only much really to brand. Well, Sugar concluded it's like having a club. Jane brought it to the Incursions group will never create corporations, as it would allow them to ward act, and yet they create all of the other surrounding structures that corporations would normally create. CCB then asked around Wardex, what could we do? Jane answered that the defenders need some way to win and thus end the war themselves, and I think that is a very valid point.
They can't win.
Oh,
Don't
well,
give them that illusion.
I kind of had a very short back and forth with Harry on Twitter about this yesterday. Look, we all know that the war deck system, that there's something that feels wrong about it, right? That it feels one-sided in almost all of its implementation, right?
Yeah.
Somebody war decks you, there's really no way that you can get out of it other than other than either fighting back against somebody that you may or may not be able to fight back against, or some really bad decisions like logging out or switching corpse or all these other things. HiSec needs some mechanism for risk, right? For the threat that other people can do something to you. Maybe it should just be crime. Ganking. Maybe they need to do something about that I don't know. You don't want to make it...
Yeah, make it easier for me.
Well, you don't want to make it too easy, right? Because then it just becomes wanton violence that, But the war deck system, on paper, makes sense. Oh,
Yeah.
two groups should be able to go to war and not be part of this crime watch kind of ordeal, right? But it never seems to be two-sided. It seems to be more one-sided, and there are issues related to that. So again, on paper, it makes sense. You want there to be this form of risk and this ability to do stuff in high-sec, but there's something about the Word-X system that needs really much more thought. People like Tora Bushido from Marmite and whatnot obviously has some really good things to say about it from their perspective. Okay, but then so do people who it's like, hey, this is one-sided. This is completely lopsided.
Exactly. And that's the way it is. You look at like Tora. Tora's got some great ideas from his perspective, but then you take other people like, well, why are you doing it that way? Because it will benefit my people. Well, no, don't look at just your people. Look at the whole. Look at the thing as a whole. Because
we do want there to be risk in high-sec. Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody should want there to be risk in high-sec, because you cannot have a zone that is free from risk.
Yes. Okay.
Inherently free from risk. Because there is reward there. There is market economy type stuff that goes on, and there needs to be these things. But maybe it really should just be about crime.
Kremlik brought up a great thing in Twitch, because high-sec basically is an NPC Zerg-like race that can take over stations and block content. One, it'll be damn cool, and two, less people willing to be AFK. Think if Jita or Amar got Zerged. That would be just like, oh my god, I can't get into Jita, I can't do trading. Incursions are kind of like that, but they need to be maybe a bit more hard, a bit more badass, maybe. In the next part after that, there was third party in Crest. Again, a very shorter section because it's about Foxwell began explaining about new notifications to the client. Now TCP send notifications directly to all players through the existing notification system. He also said that has moved the downtime notification to a new notification system, and then they make a Kigali and make the erg noise because
and then Kigali made noises.
Yeah. Exactly. And again, what it means is instead of having the pop-up, you have it as a notification at the bottom, which I understand why they want to get away from that pop-up, because every time that pop-up comes over, it takes over the entire screen. You can't do anything. He went on to say that he's working up and cleaning the API in Crest, and one of the main changes they're making is removing the public Crest and rolling it into authored Crest, which basically means you have to be a proper developer for it and work on it, which is good, because the public stuff is good, but you don't really want it all public out there. I don't think, is there anything else? So Sugar brought up the issue of siphons, which the reply was it needs to be solved on the Eve server side, and with the POS feature slated for eventual removal, CCP can't justify the time to fix it. I think that makes sense, because obviously when POSs are going to be removed, siphons are going to be removed at that size, and they're going to be put into something else and move across. I don't know, Free. I don't know if Gorski is running for CSM.
He is definitely running.
He's on the list.
Apparently, any of this stuff did not preclude him. Whether it was real or not real or whatever. But yes, he is running. And
yeah, again, the list is out there. The official list has been published. I'm trying to think what else. That was really it for third party press.
Yeah. That was the other thing. That was at the bottom of that. Hold on, it was at the bottom of a dev blog
about
the list.
Oh, the list is no. That's
the list
in the
of
minutes.
Candidates.
That's in the minutes. The minutes. It's on the minutes.
Oh,
blog.
no. The minutes blog
has the list of people.
Has the list of candidates.
Yes. And again, I'm not going to get into the whole Scion
less
thing.
Candidates this year.
Yeah.
Less candidates this year.
Yeah.
53, I think, was the number.
I'm not sure. 53, yes. 53 on the ballots. Due to diligence security checks, all candidates have been notified. The one person I did actually like his interview on the Cap Stable this year was Capri Sun Craft Foods. Actually, funny name. Great. Some really great things on it. So there's a bunch on there. I'd be amiss if I didn't say Steve. I reckon Steve should get back on, because Steve, the CSM without Steve is...
I'm going to be honest, okay? I don't think that Steve should get back onto the CSM.
No?
I think that Steve should just get either some sort of honorary third-party developer helper Crest guy, thing to where it's like, look, let him talk to I guess if Steve still wants to be on the, I guess if he still wants to be on there to talk about industry and things like that, fine.
Yeah.
But he should, it's like, whatever. He's been there long enough and apparently is going to keep going.
Yeah.
I hope that he does get back on. But, you know what? Quite honestly, at this point, I believe that Steve has made enough of a name for himself that whether he was on the CSM or not, he would still be a go-to resource for people at CCP to, who are seeking input from somebody.
Yeah. And again, the Gurgoon's hat isn't on there. The reason I'm not talking about the whole Scion thing is because I haven't seen it anywhere publicly from CCP stating that he could not run. And I don't think they would ever say that publicly. That's why I'm not stating that. Simple. Eve metrics. The one thing we'd love, and it's mostly NDA'd. Apart from, Quants sharing some metrics for shield trading, the CSM asked if CCP had the stats for skill points injected normalized by rank. CCP showed the difference of skill points before and after the first 24 hours of characters and used skill injectors. CCP Quant then went over the ISK market price of injectors and the extractors on the first day and a half. And it went NDA. And Steve also didn't totally monopolize Quant's time asking about ice mining in wormholes. Very simple, pretty much, yeah?
Yeah, it was a pretty short section.
It was. New player experience, the last one on my list before the review, and it is the last one on the...
Oh, can you here? Can you see this if I hold this up to the camera?
Yeah, I can.
Can you see where the ink starts to fade
Yep.
on some of the things? I was definitely starting to run out.
Yeah, definitely starting to run out.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. New player experience. The only thing I pulled out of this is Mike commented that there are a lot of veteran players who help out in the Rookie Help channel, and that they and the ISD are instructing new players to skip opportunities and find the career agents. That's the only thing that stuck out of me on it, and I'm thinking, well, if I can understand if veteran players are doing it, but if the ISD are doing it, and they're volunteers to CCP...
That's a conflict of interest, possibly.
Uh-huh.
Because they're supposed to let the players decide on their own, not tell them to go do it.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's just retarded.
I think that's pretty much it, really. Chance of where opportunities were too small of a scale to be effective. Delegate Zero then elaborated on some of the history they've worked on the MPE. His previous team was tasked with working on the current MPE and the opportunities system. The idea was to move away from a very structured tutorial to something much looser, and the end results of the metrics is the new system is actually better performing better by a few percentage points. The team is focusing on a second session statistics, and the team is now rethinking their current methods. I mean, yeah. I just, it's been a bit weird, the whole the new player experience. It's been a good thing, but there have been some, some issues with it, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, the new player experience continues to be an ongoing work in progress. There's no question about it, and it will forever be.
Yeah,
it will forever be. CCP brought up the idea that in character creation, that you could express interest in a particular aspect of Eve, and that the game could then guide, but not restrict towards a specific towards a specific order of operations. That's interesting. I have to imagine that that's probably a bit complex.
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting that maybe they could put in something that, hey, do you have some area of Eve? Okay, well, here, let us kind of craft your tutorials maybe to take you maybe more down that path or whatever.
I think pretty much that was it really for the new player experience, but.
Certainly from our perspective,
yes.
Again, people out there who are much more inclined towards concerns over the new player experience are probably going to find more in this.
Krem says something in Twitch chat, and he says, I think we built the new MPE last year with a huge fleet battle NPC bit. Yeah, remember I said about it, what should happen is you should go straight in and be in a big fleet battle when it's done instanced, so you're doing it and it's all AI controlled and you get blown up and then you end up back in a school with no skills or whatever. That'd be great to do that, like the Dragon Age intros, that Dragon Age 2, where they just said, you're a massive character and you can go and do stuff, and like Valkyrie is as well, but... It's 6 or 1.5 dozen the other with that, really, I think. The only thing left was, and Crazy Horse says, Dirk, no whiskey bottle. No, it's stupid o'clock in the morning. It's coffee, isn't it? It's coffee bottle time. It's coffee cup time.
This is the second one I'm just now starting to work on. This is a very big 24-ounce coffee with 2 shots of espresso in it. So.
It's the wake up juice. It's proper wake up juice. The last thing on the list.
I'm certainly hitting the bladder market this point.
Well, funnily enough, I have been twice during the show. And we've only got 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes left of the show, and we're out of here. Doomwolf is coming up next on EVE Radio, by the way, so he'll be here. Summit Review! The session was about general summit logistics and how the summit went. Yes, they did say there were some issues with logistics, getting them to Iceland, and also the accommodation and stuff like that. There's the thing I pulled out. Corbex talked about he's looking forward to the new stuff approaching wormholes. Sugar is disappointed there isn't more for Lowsec. Jane's worst case scenario is CCP touching a large number of features but finishing none of them. His worst case for Citadels is they get introduced and starbases and outposts are not removed at the end. Andy elaborated that he also worried that the rest of the functionality isn't going to make it. The CSM was in agreement that they are worried that CCP won't finish what they start. And that's a really...
It's a historically valid concern.
Exactly. You know,
and it is one of the things, okay, that goes into this whole thing of the release cycle and cadence and all that kind of, development cadence and release cycle cadence and all that. That, especially when you've got these big things, right? Because we know for a fact that with Citadel, okay, yes, Citadels are going to be released, but that is not the end of the structures. There are other ones that are supposedly to come. And if they don't get down that full path, for whatever reason, there could be, serious issues involved with that. So, I mean, and it's not like that hasn't happened in the past. But, you know what? Everybody's got, hope, and that won't happen.
Yeah, hope is what we can have.
Then they had the summit review.
Well, that was the part I took that part from the summit review. That was the very end of it.
Obviously there were issues related to the this thing. Kigali brings up I believe a reasonable point. Let's see. He wishes he could have been to Iceland. He's also disappointed that the summit, the second summit, anyways, is at the end of the term.
Yeah,
and that the CSM can't do much about it.
Well, when you look in retrospect, the next CSM, when they take office, they're going to have a summit straight away. They've already stated that. But, no, actually, that was stated under when Lilu was in charge. Now Guard and Logibro are in charge. Well, I don't think they're going to change that, per se. But you never know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe maybe the summit, maybe the 2 summits a year should be somehow tied to... You get a summit like right off the bat, so therefore, hey, you candidates who ran on your platforms, come on up here. Let us give you some on-hand, some on-site training, with how this stuff is going to work. But the problem is, not everybody gets to go, right? I mean, even under the current thing, you got 14 delegates, and at most, only 10 of them are going to be able to go. But maybe it's better to have a summit at the beginning and then one midway through. And then there is no summit at the end. So instead of backloading the summit series, you front load the summit series.
Well, pretty much, I think that was it. Really covered it all. We broke that down really well. We've actually done a full fucking show. It's the first time in a long time we've done a full 3-hour show.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it deserved it
when the material is there, and certainly around minute time and Fan Fest and things like that, it totally makes sense.
Totally makes sense to do it. So pretty much that. I think that's going to do it for us for the show. Thank you if you've been listening all the way live for this show. If you've listened live or watched live, I hope the Twitch feed has been fine, and I hope to God it's recorded fine, because I'm good. Well, if the Twitch feed isn't that good, I'll upload the recording, whatever. Thank you if you've got to the end of this on your podcast device, on your podcatcher. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're sorry.
And somebody's just doing some drilling or something somewhere, I think. I don't know. I just heard a fart, sort of like, "Rrr," whatever. Thank you if you got to the end of it. Quickly go around the room. Cypher, anything you want to pimp, promote, shout out?
Well, we got to pimp and promote and shout out to evepodcast.com.
What's fun enough? Is that where most people will get this show from, maybe?
Well, either that or your site.
Yeah, well, they'll get it from there. They'll get it
you.
directly from there. But evepodcast.com, where you can get all the podcasts that you can listen to. You know, he's over there doing the good thing. And then, obviously, Dirk, anything you want to promote, pimp out?
No.
The triumphant return?
You know, triumphant return. There's a slow walk back into this process. No. If you think I'm associated with it, then there you go. I pimped it out.
No. Well,
is it the walk of shame, Dirk, or just the slow, like...
I already did my walk of
sure.
shame. Now it's just come back in and be like, yo, what's up?
What's up? Sorry, I was away on holiday.
Oh, I know what it is. It's the rehab walk.
The rehab walk.
But no, Dirk, you'll be back. Are you back this week on Open Comms?
I believe I will be showing up. Yes.
Me will put in an appearance other than Twitch chat.
No. I will be on Open Comms
this week.
On Open Comms this Thursday. There's also some other interesting things that are in the works. So we'll see how that goes.
Yep. As for me, well, apart from this show here on Eve Radio, TotalEve.com, which I'm just going to put in the Twitch chat. If you don't know about it, it's a little website that me and Dirk designed. Basically, for all the stuff that you need to use, all the blogs, all the Twitch, you know, everything you need on there, we put it on there.
Everything's
on there, and if there's something new, we stick it on there. And also NewEdenUpdate.com, where I do a new daily podcast Monday to Friday, every day, Monday to Friday, every weekday, roundup of news. And I also Twitch that live and then put it out there as well, because I'm thinking, well, you know what, get into the Twitch thing and do that. That's good there. You can find all the links to that and everything on there on TotalEve.com and NewEdenUpdate.com, with all the links to the Patreon and all things like that. I'd like to thank everyone at Eve Radio as well for letting us do this, as we always do every week. Help and support, donate, like, follow this Twitch feed so you can get notified of when we go live on here. Also, eve-radio.com, where you're going to be listening to the rest of the music and the shows that are coming up. June Wolf is coming up next on Eve Radio. Denova is out this week. She's not feeling too great this week, so pretty much that. Hope you can help us out there and make some donations if you can. But apart from that, it leaves me to thank Dirk and Cypher for spending the last 3 hours with me. And we're going to end with a bit of
2.5 here.
Well, 2.5 for you, but yeah, 3. We're going to end with a little bit of B Complex and Beautiful Lies, the VIP, for obviously the live, Twitch and all. I don't get it, but yeah, you know how it is. So, everyone.
So, hey, you know how you know that I'm not actually at the London office?
How's that?
Well, apparently the sun never sets.
Oh, the sun never sets
on the British Empire. See? It's true.
Well, it kind of has, kind of haven't. Oh, whatever. Right, we're out of here. Take care, fly safe. And if you get podded, forums, whine, complain. Give the ISD some work to do.
Or just send your complaints to Cypher.
Yeah,
I'll take them.
Cypher@gmail.com. See you later, people.
It's a tweet fleet.
Tweet fleet site.
Yeah.
Later.